that's life. That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June. I said that's life.
All right, so here's how we do this, Tom. We don't tell anybody that we're recording. We just hit the record button and we go. So we're already recording.
You did, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, the world famous Tom Miller in the house.
Hi.
And hi.
Hold for applause, virtual applause.
I feel like Matt and I haven't talked much except for this morning in weeks, because once again we've been all over the place and busy.
Yep.
And so we get the ultimate catch up here. Yeah, how are both of you? I don't know who goes first to this, but somebody jump in there.
Well, yeah, I'm good. How are you doing, Matt?
I've had better days. We just had to replace our laser tube in our Trotec.
Oh,
And that was $5,000.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's as much as a whole laser from China.
Yeah, but
that might be 2 lasers from China.
Right.
but I'm actually glad it happened, because when we first bought the laser, Trotec never came out to like set it up. So I've been dialing in all the speeds for all the different materials, and this guy, super knowledgeable, who came, he like redialed everything in, because before I'd make like 3 passes on 3/8 acrylic, and he made it like a 1 pass with like half the cut time. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
Nice. And did it fail for a reason or just wore out?
Well,
or?
generally the lifespan they say is like 3 to 5 years, but I also think that like the COVID shield took like 2 years off of the lifespan.
That was a lot of production.
Yeah.
And some dirty parts.
Yeah,
It did
super
kill
dirty.
Were you
it did
cutting
kill a
ABS in
few
there?
lasers.
Yeah, ABS and PETG.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's dirty.
deadly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
But-
those listening at home, ABS is not an approved material for most lasers. It
Yeah.
does like to melt to itself, and
Nasty stuff.
yeah.
Well, other than that, everything's back up and running again, and back in the country, back from vacation, starting a big job, and it's kind of a learn as you go deal, because nobody else has done one yet.
What's that?
New Model S Plaid.
Plaid.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's
Is it
like
plaid
the-
interior? It's got the Jetta interior?
the new Model S, the refresh.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know there was
it's-
a plaid edition.
Yeah, so
yeah, it's super fast, right?
I think they did away with like the P100D and all the fucking numbers. Now it's just like the Plaid, long range, and
The
it's-
Argyle.
Yeah, but the fucked up thing
The
about this
houndstooth.
car is the whole electronic system is closed. There's no fuses; they're all E fuses.
Oh, yeah,
And then
of
at the
course.
same point, the battery is like this fucking big, and it's a lithium ion battery. It's like a BCM, but it's all closed, right? So there's just like a harness that goes into it. There's no like open point. So trying to figure out how to do an audio system in it is going to be a lot of like try and see, cross your fingers, and hope nothing happens.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I got confidence in you.
Yeah. So
I think
If anyone
I
can
think
do
you're
it
going
now,
down
you
the right. Yeah, I think you're going down the right path.
yeah,
I'm,
we had talked about
I'll-
it earlier, and we'll
Definitely.
save that whole discussion for another podcast, because this is where I think all cars are going to go in the future. As far as electronic cars, they're all going to be, closed circuit, and we're going to have to figure out ways to integrate stuff in. This one's kind
Or
of
just
challenging.
only work on old cars.
There you go.
I know that's Tom's
Yeah.
least favorite.
Well,
Tom, you,
no. I mean, when you build a custom trunk panel, it never needs a software update. So
Yeah.
I don't mind that stuff at all.
I feel like Tom mostly works on new, clean cars, but I know he's got something in the bay that's a little bit older. I assume it's still there.
It's not actually here right now. It's out getting some stuff fixed, because as you know, it's a 65 Lincoln Continental, and the top didn't work.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they are
And
notorious
I didn't even
for
realize like that car, how technologically advanced it was when it came out.
that. Yeah,
Like the mechanism to motorize the top up and down and open the trunk and everything on that was so forward thinking back then. And
And
It's got all
extremely
these like limiter
complicated.
switches in there and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So actually, what they found out was wrong with it. We didn't even try to tackle fixing the top. We sent it out for it, but it was we thought it was the motors and stuff, but it was like the limiter switches in there, and you can't replace them. He had to send them out to get. There's some guy that specializes in them, and he repaired the switches and sent them back.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's a
crazy.
couple of guys there. I don't know if the guy's still around, but there's a couple of guys that would just basically travel the country, and they would. Everybody puts in a new bank of relays for them, and then they would do all the timing and the switch adjustments and all that kind of stuff.
So for the non-industry people listening, actually, I'm surprised on how many emails I get from just random enthusiasts who listen to the podcast, because it's always tough. Some of it's enthusiast driven, some of it's industry driven. We kind of try and keep a happy medium or gear it a little bit more towards the enthusiast and people trying to get into car audio systems. I feel like every client that I have, and I'm sure this goes the same with you, Tom, they're all the same type of demographic. It's like they dabbled in car audio in the 80s and 90s, and now they have the fucking money to spend, and they have a nice car, and they don't want just any random idiot working on it, and they'll spend the money to do it right. And
Absolutely.
that's really, I would say, a lot of the demographic that we have. And Tom basically owns Musicar Northwest in Portland, Oregon. And if you haven't heard of their shop, I'm sure a lot of you already have. Check out their website, their Instagram. They do very, very fine, detailed OEM integration to the highest level, really, that you're going to find anywhere around. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's like, very similar customers, very similar kind of projects that you get, and that Gary gets quite a bit of. A lot of late model European vehicles is kind of our specialty. So we have like a bunch of Porsches and a Jaguar and stuff in the shop right now. A lot of Porsches, a lot of BMWs. But yeah, it is that kind of, that demographic that was 18 to 24 20 years ago is now the same guy. He's just older with higher standards and a little more savvy about everything. And, it's pretty much our customer. So they just want, and we really don't, like you guys, we don't really try to work exclusively on nice cars. You know what I mean? We try to work on cars that people actually care about. So we get a lot of like old Land Cruisers and things like that they're older cars, but people just like, they love it. They're going to keep it forever. They want somebody to work on it that's competent and knows what they're doing, and they're willing to spend a little extra to do that. So that's kind of that's more our demographic, is just people that actually care about their cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I mentioned this to you briefly before we had you on, but you're following Brian's episode, Brian Schmidt's episode, and within our conversation, we had asked him about all the different influences he's had in his career, and you topped that list with his influences. So I thought it was a great time to have you follow that episode, because obviously we wanted to have you on, but obviously that kind of forced our hand into making it an immediate episode.
Well, now we have to talk to Tom.
Yeah.
Brian said that. Thank you, Brian. I love you, Brian. And that's humbling to hear that from. That's just humbling to hear that.
So, I think what everyone wants to know, as far as the people who do know you in the industry, is what made Tom Tom. Because when you say Tom in our industry, there's one Tom. What made Tom Tom?
Sorry, any other Toms out there? Aren't there? There's got to be another Tom. What made Tom Tom? I don't know. I mean, you guys know this, but I kind of took a different path into this industry than a lot of the guys that are kind of executing at the level that we execute at and doing the stuff that we do. I didn't actually start out in audio as an audio enthusiast or anything like that. I didn't start out, a lot of guys started out sweeping a floors at the local stereo shop because they were so enamored with bass. It's a pretty common story, I hear. But my path was a little bit different. I basically worked for an expediter, so I was a mobile installer as a young guy, and I was installing car alarms and power door locks and cruise controls and just really boring stuff in cars at as a mobile guy at car dealer lots and stuff like that. And I was working for a company. I'm from San Jose, California, and I was working for a company down there. They opened up a branch up here in Portland, Oregon, moved me up as the install manager. And that branch lasted for a couple of years. And after a couple of years, they pulled out of the market, and I just kept the accounts, and I was running an expediter company of my own here. And then that lasted for a few years, and then I sold that company to a retailer here in Portland that wanted to do some expediting work. So I went over there, sold them the company, sold them the accounts, and went over there to work to kind of direct that expediter division of the company. And that was actually the first time I'd ever been into the back of a retail car audio environment sort of thing. Like, I'm 30 something years old at that point, and that's the first time I ever like walked into it.
Okay, so my big question to you at that point, were you not like an audio enthusiast at all, or were you intrigued by that stuff, or just like
music lover for sure? I mean, music lover, but no audio, like car audio enthusiast. No.
Like, did you have a system in your car at all, or anything, or like?
We were the Panasonic distributor, so I had all Panasonic stuff in my car.
Do you have the little radio with the fold-out center channel?
Radio, it was the first CD player that had a buffer. Remember CD players? You put them in cars and they would skip.
Oh yeah,
you hit a bump and they'd skip. And Panasonic came out with the first one that actually had a buffer on it, so it wouldn't skip when you're driving. It was super innovative. I had that one.
That's crazy. The only one I remember is the one my buddy had with a little center channel that like folded open, and it was like a little speaker built into like this little flip faceplate thing that gave you a center. It was terrible. Dancing lights and all that. Like, that's got to be like 2000-ish. I don't know.
Yeah, they had some pretty funky stuff. They had the first DVD player for cars too. Remember that? Panasonic did. It was like $1,400 for a single DIN DVD player.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What were you driving? What were you driving that you didn't have a system? I mean, that you had a Panasonic system in?
I had my Nissan 4x4 hard body pickup.
Nice.
Mobile with all my tools in the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some all-terrains on it to get around up in Portland.
Oh yeah, because I got to get up the mountain, go snowboarding. That was my rig, man. Nice. Got me everywhere I needed to go. Yeah, that's what I had when I moved up here to Portland too. Yeah. So I sold my company to this guy. I went to work for this retailer, and I was working I had like an office in the back shop, and the back shop was where a couple of the really good custom guys were. And there's an installer fabricator, super talented guy named Chris Church, and he was doing some stuff that was just like mind-boggling to me. And even looking back on it, the guy was so good. And I kind of I saw what he was doing, and I was like, that's what I want to do. You know, I was basically putting on a shirt and tie at that point and going out and talking to car dealers all day. It fucking sucked. It was awful. I was like so ready to be out of the industry.
I can't even imagine that. Like,
it was it was awful. It was awful. Didn't enjoy it at all. I really was looking for an out. When I saw what he was doing, and then I kind of he started teaching me little tricks and stuff, because I started to make little custom panels when I was doing like stupid like satellite radio stuff in Mercedes, and remember like the XM Commanders, we would preload those in Mercedes for the dealership, and so I started making all these little custom panels and stuff like that to incorporate it in the ashtray. So just little tiny stuff that I got to start building and creating, and then it just kind of expanded, and I started making more stuff. And then I basically told the guy, like, I don't want to do the stuff anymore. I don't want to do the expediter dealer stuff. I'm just done. You know, I started bringing in bigger projects that I was having Chris work on, And then I started working on them with Chris, and then I just started working on them by myself. And Chris taught me a lot. And so I was pretty fortunate to have him as a mentor and kind of fast track me into fabrication and learning how to use a router and just it kind
What
of
kind of
escalated
what kind
from
of
there.
time period is that? Does that take a year? Does that take 3 years?
So that's like 2004, 2005 when I started kind of dabbling in it. And then by 2008, that's pretty much all I wanted to do. And then 2010 is when I left and started Musicar with Ken Ward.
Now,
Um,
how did you meet Ken?
so Ken actually owned another shop as well here in Portland called Avancar. And when I first met him, he had that shop, and that was kind of what you expect from Ken. It was a high end audio, almost exclusively. Didn't really do anything else except for audio systems in cars. And Ken was always experimenting and trying new things and dabbling in DSPs real early on and figuring out how to get audio system into some cars that were at that time getting very complex. BMWs that were getting very complex for audio integration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I met him when he was running that shop, or when he had that shop, but it was closing down. He didn't have an installer at the time. The guy that I was working with at the retailer was friends with Ken, asked me to go over and help him transition through to shutting the store down, because he had some clients that still had cars that needed to be serviced and some cars that needed to be worked on and stuff like that. So I went over there and helped him out. And that's how I met Ken. And then when he closed his shop, he kind of floated around and started doing some other stuff. But he had a lot of clients that he was still dealing with, because obviously he had his shop for a few years. And he would take his clients and refer them over to me. And so he would kind of like make a sale outside of the company I was working at, bring the car over, and we would work on it together. And the very first audio system we did was an E46 3 Series coupe, and we did a Zapco DC reference amplifier in there with Morels in front and a DLS subwoofer in the back. And I was in this like more traditional car audio shop where they were putting 412s and everything, and 2 sets of Rockford mid woofers in the doors, and and whatever. So Ken comes over and he's got like a 6 tweet and a single 10 in the back. I'm like, that's not gonna. What's that gonna do? You know what I mean? And we got it all done and fired up, and I was like, wow, wow, that's really nice. Like, I didn't know it could sound that nice. Like, it's not just loud, crank up AC/DC, rip your head off. It's like actually makes your music sound good. Is that what it's supposed to do? And so yeah, that was the first thing I did with Ken, and then we just kind of worked on a few projects together there, and then we were like, we need to do our own thing. So that's what we did, and then I left there and we started Musicar in 2010, and
So let me ask you this:
here we are.
The name Musicar.
Yes.
What other names were in contention?
I didn't have anything else. That was Ken.
Really?
Ken had it was Avancar before his first company.
Okay.
And then he came to me and he wanted to do this thing, and he said he wanted to call it Musicar. And I was like, that sounds too much like your other company, but I don't have anything better, so that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no other names in contention really.
So Musicar, you've always been in the same location, right?
We've always been in the same
Building?
complex. We started out in a little like 2,000 square foot warehouse cave, no windows, shell. It was dark and dingy. I built a fab room in there and we got to work. And it wasn't nothing fancy about it at all. We just opened it up and right away started working and had some really fun projects to start with. And we were there for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved into a spot opened up in the same complex that's really nice, and it's got a lot of windows and glass. And Gary's been here. I know, Matt, you haven't been out here before, but it's got like a lot of natural sunlight. And
Yeah, I know.
It's really
I'm so
it's really
jealous
nice.
when I see all your windows everywhere
Yeah,
that you're
the natural
standing.
sunlight. I got a window in my wood shop, so
It's
if
so
I end
nice.
up working all night long, I can see the sun come up,
Yeah.
which has happened more than it should, probably.
So I know one of the main differences about how you run your shop and how you do the sales process is you don't physically have your traditional like displays with, and I fucking hate that approach. Like I'm the same way. Like it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't convey the story. The education is really what it comes down to.
Right.
But the big question is, do you always have a car to listen to? Do you have a demo car? Do you just use clients' cars? How
We
do you do
typically
that
use clients'
process?
cars. Yeah. We typically use clients' cars. So we'll work it out to where if somebody's interested in a system, then and they have to listen to something, then we'll
Mm-hmm.
wait till we have something that's comparable to what they're looking
Mm-hmm.
for, or something that they can kind of aspire to, if it's beyond their original budget.
Do
Um,
you try to push for them to listen to a car before you design a system for them, or how many of your customers you just like you sound like a stage 2 guy and
it's I mean, a lot of the systems that we do, it's not. I'm not going to call it cookie cutter at all, but we're so familiar with BMW and Porsche systems, so when we get those in, we have a lot of kind of we have a lot of information that we can give to them, and this all happens via email for the most part, right? So we have a lot of information we can give them, and we're pretty good at describing the end result of what the system is going to sound like. But ideally, yes, we want to get them in here, and we want to get them to listen to a car. And if we can get them in here to listen to a car, then that's it. They're pretty much sold. We haven't done a very good job of keeping a demo car loaded with the system. I just got a BMW that we're gonna use for development on BMW kits, and the idea is we're gonna get a system in it right away, but I've had it for a year now.
Yeah, it's always tough
Busy.
because I mean, like, there's a lot of scenarios in which I've had cars that are waiting to be picked up, which I can use as a demo,
Yeah.
which then, like, 10 times out of 10, takes the next sale that would have been a sale anyway, but it's dramatically fucking increased the bottom line, right? So
Yeah.
they just want to go way and well beyond where they were at. But at the same time, when I don't have a car to listen to, I mean, the same scenario happened today. There's a retired police officer who's retiring at the end of the year. He's been like following the YouTube channel for, he said, like 5 years or so, and he wants to treat himself to a retirement gift. And he came down today from New York, like a 4-hour drive. And upon everything, he was like, "Do you have anything I can listen to?" And I was like, "Unfortunately not." But for me, I feel very comfortable overselling and over delivering, right?
Yeah.
So when I describe to them that no matter how I describe it, it's going to exceed your expectations because most people's reference are just not even close to what our reference is.
Right.
And I know that going in. And even if you have a high-end home system that you think is awesome, at the end of the day, when you're in a car, you're still going to subliminally equate to any other car that you've listened to. You know what I mean? So no matter what, it's going to exceed their expectations. Because, I mean, all three of us have been to Knowledge Fest or SEMA or CES and listened to a lot of the quote-unquote demo cars that are out there. And it's just not even close to what I would say our reference is. You know what I mean? There's not that many people out there that are delivering the audio quality side of things that I think we all care about and what we're infatuated with. So I always feel very comfortable in selling that or overselling it and knowing that I can over deliver.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we've talked about that a lot on this podcast, and that the equipment, which becomes part of the sales process that you guys are talking about here, that the equipment is one small part of the equation, right? And doing the install right and tuning has more to do with getting in the initial ballpark of great sound than the equipment does. And then once you're going to take the time to do that stuff right, plugging in as good of equipment as the budget will allow makes it that much better with each step. But a lot of cars that come in for us to fix, like we do a lot of repairs and tunes and, you know, sound deadening doors and building new speaker adapters and a lot of things to just help systems along that were done at other places where the customers didn't have their expectations met. Just tuning the car and dialing in the front speaker install usually takes care and makes a customer happy, even if it's decent gear. And it's really hard, like Matt's saying, to oversell. It's hard to oversell that. Like, you could hear something that's just dialed in right and it will sound better than great gear with a crappy install.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no greater proof of that than when you get that car in, right? I mean, because we get a lot of those. We got some guys around here that carry a really nice product, put it in the car, it's not right, sounds like crap, bring it in, and we can make. I mean, it's amazing product. And why does it sound like crap? Is because it wasn't executed properly at all. You know, it's just so there's really no greater proof of that. We get quite a bit of that, and it's like really heartbreaking to see somebody that spent so much money on this equipment and just they didn't even get close to what they wanted, didn't even get close to their goals. And it just, it's really sad. And I'm surprised by how many of them are like, just make it right. Like, I know I spent a bunch of money already, I'm going to spend a bunch more money with you, but I just want it to be right.
And I think at the end of the day, when a lot of people see the cars that all three of us do, some of the scales, like the very high-end scales, they're just like, how do you land a job like that? At the end of the day, it comes down to taking time, educating the client, and then showing them, you know what the fuck you're talking about, and that you're going to make it right. And there's a track history of you making it right, and the client's being happy. That's how people are willing to spend that type of money. And the people willing to spend that type of money are doing their research, and they're finding people like us. And if they have to fucking ship the car, they're going to ship the car because maybe they've been burnt once or twice and they're not going to be burnt again, because they know that good shops do exist and people who are competent do exist. And that's really what it comes down to. It's just education and, you know, proof of concept, really.
Yeah. I mean, we're living in a world where it's, you know, reputation has always been really important, but right now for the last, 10 years or whatever, reputation is all that really matters. And, we're talking about selling systems without a soundboard and without, sometimes without a demo car. And it all comes down to reputation and trust. And nobody finds Musicar on accident. we don't have a big glowing neon sign out front. We don't do any advertising at all. We've been really bad about posting on social media for the last year or so. Been really quiet, I know. But the people that, it's like an underground movement, right? Like, people go out and they just do a ton of research and they think they found this like hidden gem. And when BMW and Porsche owners in Portland find out that we're here in Portland, they're like jazzed, right? Because they heard about us from some guys in New York or whatever it may be, right? And it's like they just show up here and they're so happy that we're here, and they already know who we are and what we do for the most part.
Right. And for those that don't know, Tom and Musicar have, I guess we'll call them kits, where they've done every bit of R&D work and every part they need to do an install, whether it's a bracket to bolt an amplifier in or speaker adapters or a woofer enclosure. They've done all the R&D. They've done the car so many times over and over again that for them it becomes a very simplistic process of doing the install. But they're making these parts off of files that they've spent many hours developing, and there's just a ton of value in that. Like, I have a car similar to those stories you were just talking about, with the customer that spent gobs of money somewhere else and a car that's literally didn't work when it came in. I was telling Matt today about the audio signal path, which is one of the most hilarious things. We'll Matt and I will do an episode on this car at some point. But it literally, I probably have 10 hours into a set of speaker adapters to get everything I can out of a very nice set of speakers. And it's multiple pieces, and there's filler involved, and there's probably 16 parts per door to make this speaker assembly play as well as it can into the car without looking like we did anything from the outside of the car or from the inside of the car. Once the door panel goes back on, you can't tell we were there. But all of that work Tom has done over and over again to get them dialed for those cars. So it's super cool to see that. And
you also do a good job of telling that story, right? The amount of work involved in the labor process and showing clients the behind the scenes of like, this is what's making the difference of what we do versus what another shop does. And, you know, that's such an easy thing to do, is just learn how to take pictures and learn how to tell that story that is clear, because, you know, it's one thing showing somebody in person, but when you see some of the pictures that other people post, like, it just doesn't relate. It doesn't tell the story. It doesn't, you know, give that visual image of how it would look in person, essentially.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of a byproduct of like the style of work that we do is, you know, everything is very OEM looking. So if we're gonna post pictures on social media or on forums or whatnot, we're not gonna have a lot of like flashy photos of what it looks like when it's done, because everything looks pretty much stock, you know, or it looks like how the factory would have designed it if they were going to do a premium audio system. So we like really delve into the how it's made kind of part of the, you know, side of the story. And that's why we started really way back when we just started posting. When we would post up a project, we would post up, it's like 90 build photos and 5 finished photos. You know, it's like, we want you to see what happened behind the scenes, because once the door panel's back on, you're never going to see that. Right. But it's like, it's impressive, man. And it's so like Gary was saying, it's so crucial to getting the most that you can out of that product, man. And it doesn't matter how much those speakers are, if they're $200 or they're $2,000. Like, we want to get, you know, we respect that, and we want to get the most performance that we can out of it. So that's I think it's really important to show that stuff, and people love that how it's made side of the story, right? They like to see
for sure.
the stuff being made, for sure.
And especially, I think it hits a little different with you when you post something, because, you know, when you see the finished product, you're generally just like, okay. and then you see the pictures, and then you're like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? And it's just different. Like, when you post something, there's installers out there that you know their work. There's Da Vinci and different artists out there that you just know their work by seeing it. And you're one of those people where you just know that Tom built it based on the execution. And if you're looking at something and you don't know what the fuck you're looking at, it's probably something that Tom built for a car, and then you're going to realize real quick how much work went into that.
Well, I'm pretty impressed that we made it like 33 minutes into an episode with Tom, and we haven't talked about his insane ability to design and render projects and draw them out beforehand. we made it 33 minutes. For those of you that don't know, Tom is an amazing artist, and he uses a program where he'll import pictures of the car, and he'll actually do full-fledged renderings of what he's going to build for a customer. And I was going to say, you didn't have that ability, 7 years ago?
Prior to 2014.
Yeah.
2014 is when I started. Yeah, so 7 years. Wow.
Yeah, about 7 years ago. Yeah, you know. I'm a numbers guy.
Yeah.
So
but first, I just want to say that, like, to what Matt was saying, I have a whole team of guys now that build exactly like that.
Yeah, you do have a great team.
Yeah, they're absolutely amazing. So, like, a lot of the stuff that you see now coming out of music are like, I don't want anybody to think that, oh, Tom built that. Like, there's
who all do you have? You've been collecting all stars, like you're a freaking
in the shop.
coach.
We have TJ Carlson. We got we got Patrick Rollins, and we got Pierce Barrett working in the shop back there, and everybody is a fabricator. I don't have anybody that just slings wires or does sound.
Well, I would
that.
also classify those people, because I know them all personally, as they're all completely passionate about what they do, and that is the difference maker, my friend.
Absolutely,
is having passion driven with ability, driven with a good mentor.
For
is
sure.
Why Musicar is Musicar.
Yeah, and they definitely have the passion for it, and they all have the aptitude for it, and they pick up things so fast, and they like. I'll go back there sometimes and just I'm amazed by what they built, and I wasn't even there. I didn't even know what was going on. I was out golfing or something.
Do they feed? Have they all become better by working closely with each other?
For sure. Yeah, they're a super strong team. Like, I know that gets thrown around a lot, but they're always like feeding off of each other, working with each other, helping each other out. And it's not, we don't, we get a lot of big projects, and we'll assign one of them as the project manager on that project, but that doesn't mean he's like, you're working on that by yourself. It means you're basically in charge of making sure that gets done in time. But you can call on anybody that you need to get you some help, and they do that for each other all the time.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah.
How much time do you spend fabbing these days?
I would say not as much. Probably like 20 hours a month.
Yeah.
What's the last thing you built?
I'm working on.
What's the last piece you built? What did you build?
Oh no!
I love putting giant tweeters in cars. It's my favorite thing in the world. So no, I'm working on putting some Morel Altos in some little tiny sail panels in a Jaguar right now. What's the last thing I built before that? Oh my god, I can't even think. I don't know. Now I just do a drawing and hand it to one of the guys. Hang it up on the wall.
So let's talk about that, because that's something that I've always found fascinating when I see, obviously, the design and how to design something. And for me personally, it's always tough from the fabricator standpoint, because anything that I've ever built has been in my head, and that never translates to my hand in an artistic format, right? So when you design something for a car and you have the space constraints of amplifiers or the depth of a subwoofer, what's your design process when it comes to trying to render this equipment in a car? Are you keeping like everything kind of modular, or like how are you knowing the variances of
like with scale?
Depth?
How do I make sure it's scaled properly?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I there's a couple of different methods. Like, I'll just take measurements and I'll reference that on my reference photo, so I know basically how big things are and what's going to fit where. But a lot of times it's more, the design is just conceptual.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be. It's not a mechanical. It's not an engineering schematic drawing. It's a conceptual drawing. So it's something kind of. It's something to hang on the wall, and it's kind of your guiding light when you're going through the fabrication process to make sure that you're always going towards that goal. But it doesn't. The drawing itself, there's some leeway there for me or for anybody that's building off of one of the drawings to make sure that you're kind of staying true to this concept, but this is the real world and things are going to happen, and you might have to make some changes and whatnot. But
maybe the part I find fascinating is the fact that anytime you see a rendering and then what you build, and even what we build at Mobile Solutions off one of your renderings, it's pretty fucking close to the goddamn rendering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's just a crazy skill.
Well, I mean, part of that is too because I'm not a designer. You know what I mean? I'm an installer and a fabricator. Okay. we're all
I call
designers,
bullshit.
right? I just
I call
happen to draw
bullshit.
stuff. I just happen to
Yeah.
learn how to sketch. So we all design, like Matt said. It's all in your head. We all have to design this stuff.
Yeah, but you're just better at it than the rest of us.
But to what Matt was saying, I'm not strictly a designer, right? I come at it as a fabricator and as an installer. So I have to, like, even if I try to take the reins off and focus like purely on the design and the aesthetics of what I want it to look like, which I try to do. I try to put myself in like a pure design mode when I'm drawing stuff. All I care about is what it looks like. I don't care how you build it. I don't care what fits where. I'm just trying to get a general feeling and make sure it's right for the project.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I do that, in the back of my head, I know what's going to fit and what's not going to fit. And, I know what's going to be possible and what's not going to be possible.
So my question is, the system already designed from a equipment standpoint before you render always?
Absolutely.
Or do you sometimes leave that open a little bit because you're like, oh, if I feel like I could fit this woofer, I'll do this, but if I can fit that woofer, I'll do that?
No, I mean, sometimes it goes hand in hand. But for the most part, the system is already designed. We've already got I've got my parameters as a designer that I need to work around, and this has to fit here and this has to fit there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's very rare that the design, the sketch drives the system design. That's a bad formula.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that sometimes
for good sound.
And you see that as sketch. I look at that as engineering, right? Like that, maybe, hey, by the time you draw it out, you didn't have the width. If you haven't put the tape measure in the car yet, you don't know if you could fit, 3 8-inch woofers, or are you going to go with 2 10-inch woofers, or that type of stuff. If you leave any of that open, or you lock that down and then go to design around it, that's what my question is.
And it has happened on occasion, especially when we're doing designs for prospective clients and not for actual, like, they've already put their deposit down and get the system designed. Because I learned sketching and I kind of focus on the design for a couple of different reasons, and one is for landing jobs, right? For prospective clients, to kind of portray to them what we see as a vision for what their project can be, and really get them enrolled in the process and get them excited about it. And so it's a great selling tool to be able to do that, and there's really nobody else that's doing that very few people are doing that in the car audio industry, right? Nobody goes and spends $200,000 on getting their hot rod done without a drawing, right? Mm-hmm. But for us in the car audio industry, it's pretty rare. So that it's a really effective selling tool. But then the other one is that blueprint that we hang on the wall, and it really helps us to streamline the whole process, because as you guys know, if you go into something and you don't have if you don't have a somewhat solid idea, even if it is all in your head, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have a solid idea where you're going, it just sucks, and it's just going to take you forever. You're going to sit around staring at things forever, and it's that uncertainty and doubt that's just crippling for production, and it just everything stops in its tracks if you don't have that. It's hard enough when you have a drawing and you got to figure out how to build it, but at least you have that, like, that's the finish line. I can see the finish line. I just got to figure out how to get there, right?
And it's funny because, like, as somebody who creates art like yourself on the fly, which you sketch yours out, I do kind of mine on the fly. It's sometimes a crippling thought that you've built a lot of cool shit in the past, and this client in front of you right now is expecting that same just wow factor, and you have to deliver it. And in times like that, when I almost like get scared or have anxiety, I just always say everything I've ever built has worked out in the end, and people have been happy, and you just have to fucking start moving. Like, you can't stare at it too long. At some point, you just got to start cutting something, you know what I'm saying, and making a shape or conjoining a line. And everything that I've ever built is probably 70% of vision that I have in my head with a concept of how the layout's going to be. But then the last like 30 or 40% is puzzle pieces that are interlocking and joining lines to complement what that overall vision that was first built is. And that's how I've always built in my time building. So it's just fascinating seeing you draw something and it, at the end of the day, looking very to scale how you draw. And it's just something I can't even get my mind over.
More to scale than some very famous designers.
Well, like I said, that's because I'm coming at it as a fabricator and installer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're engineering and designing.
Yeah, even if I'm
you're doing
trying,
all
even
of
if
it.
I'm not trying to, that's always going to be there. Like I'm not going to draw something I'm not going to draw something that's impossible to build or that's not going to work properly.
So on your custom systems, I'm going to say kind of that production-y, the cars that you've done a ton of R&D, the European BMW, Porsche clients that you're doing a lot of those systems. For your more custom systems, by the time you're done, what percentage of the budget is gear and what percentage is arts and crafts to make it look like?
That's a great question.
Make it look as cool as you guys make stuff look.
It's probably at about 60-40, 60 on the labor side. Yeah.
Gotcha.
We try to stick to around 50-50, which is even then, you're always going to be more commercially successul at like 70% product, 30% labor, but that's not fun, right? I mean, that's not why we're in this.
Yeah.
So if we're at like 50-50, I'm totally happy because I deem that commercially successful enough where, we can pay our bills, we're making money, everybody's getting their paychecks, and we're all doing work that we really like doing, and it's fulfilling and it's fun and it's not, the boring old stuff. So yeah, we probably go more towards like 60-40 most of the time, but 50-50 is where we try to end up. How about you?
I would say well, it depends. I mean, I have a decent amount of clients that are just labor, and I try to turn as much of that away as I can. But yeah, I mean, it's right in that realm. I assume Matt's looking at us like we're crazy.
Right.
No,
Do you have a formula for that, Matt?
Every car that I do, I'm the only person that works on each car. Every car that I've ever done, it's always at Safe and Sound. Sometimes I'd have like a helper, but since I've been at Sound Effects, any car that I do is really 100% from start to finish. And I kind of like it that way because if, again, a car comes from California, I don't want some dumb fucking accident of not doing something correctly that's going to create a comeback that you just can't have the client come back. You know what I mean? So that's from sales to install. There's nothing lost to translation. I know exactly what the client is looking for. I've talked to them about it. I know their expectations. I know their budget. I've designed the system. I'm installing the system. I'm there to, help in the future. So, it's a little different. I'm not distributing a bunch of different people to work on the job.
Yeah.
Where it might change the labor rate for you possibly to keep 2 people busy or 3 people busy on a job. But at the same time, I would say my labor rate's about 50-50 to the product value.
Yeah. I mean, that's nice that you basically control every facet of it from the beginning right through the end, like delivery and everything.
And because of that, I never have, there's no problems. There's no, the product's not here. Why did you sell it this way?
Nobody to blame.
There's
but
none
yourself.
of that. Yeah, there's nothing. So it's
nice,
but at the same time, it's hard to scale, right? It
doesn't scale at all.
Yeah, there is no scale.
There's no scale.
Yeah, that's definitely hard to scale.
Yeah.
And the other side of that too is that it would also be hard for you to maintain a facility all to yourself with one guy trying to support all of that and run a business and all that.
Yeah. Gary's waving at us.
Seems like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it becomes more and more difficult. But
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're not all blessed to have a team like yours, Tom. So
no, I'm pretty lucky.
Well, it's not like that came easy. You make that you sound like you oversimplified that. Well, we all can't have Tom's team. You could, Matt. You could. You got to set it as a goal.
Yeah. You gotta learn how to draw, Matt, and then you hand your drawing to somebody and they can build it.
Shots fired.
I tried to teach Matt how to draw on a train in France.
Yeah.
That sounds like a song.
I was enamored
Really
for the hour
Nelson's
we
song.
did it, and then I never downloaded Procreate and never
Yeah, he's
tried
all
it.
excited, and then he never did anything about it.
No, time, man.
Yeah.
Time is money.
No, I get a lot of people so the program that I use that Gary was talking about for rendering, when I kind of superimpose over the photo of the car, it's Procreate. It's called Procreate, and I use an iPad Pro to do that. I started out just learning how to sketch with a ballpoint pen. And it's still kind of my favorite way to draw, especially when I'm just like doing quick ideation on stuff, or I have to do, pump out a quick drawing or whatever. I'll just grab some copy paper and a ballpoint pen and knock it out. But I get a lot of people that are really interested in because I'll post those videos that show the whole process of the drawing happening on Procreate, and I'll post that on Instagram or whatever. But if you see that, you keep in mind that you still have to learn how to draw and sketch before you can do that. Because I get a lot of people that ask what program that is, and they think that it's like a CAD program, and they can just do it from their keyboard and their mouse. And that's not the case. You still have to learn actually how to control a pen and learn kind of the basics of sketching and stuff like that.
And design.
And
that's
design.
the hard part.
Right.
Like being able to draw is one side of it. Having an eye for design and being able to take cues from a car and elegantly interpret them into what you're building is a whole nother level.
The interpretation,
that you're on.
Integrating it into an existing vehicle is probably the most challenging part, right? Because we've done all these projects at Mobile Solutions, and it's relatively easy to build something that doesn't have to match anything else, right? It's really easy to design and build something that looks cool. It's harder to build and design something that looks right.
Well, here's the big thing is you have the patience and reserve to keep it simple and truly match what's there, versus the big problem with our industry is people have all these techniques and shit they want to try, and they do it all at once, and that's what you end up seeing. Right.
Yeah,
that's the big difference.
And I think part of that is when you get guys that just don't get enough opportunity to do the stuff that we do, right? Like they get a
so they
custom
just go
project,
fucking
and every
balls
once
to
in a
the
while,
wall.
they're like, they throw the whole kitchen. Look at all the stuff I learned.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it all in this car. It's going to be awesome. Like how many LEDs? Yeah. So I think it takes a lot of constraint. It takes a lot, or it takes a lot of restraint to not add a bunch of stuff that just shouldn't be there, and like I said, it's having lots of opportunities to do this stuff. I don't feel like we need to flex our muscles every time we're doing a project. We don't have to throw a bunch of stuff at it. We can just do whatever that project calls for and looks right. But it's definitely harder, I think, to kind of honor what's already there, the DNA of the vehicle, the design language that's already there. It's harder to recognize that than anything, because it really, for me, developed. I think that's some aspects of design are kind of innate. Like, we all have sort of a natural ability, right? You guys all, like I said, we're all designers, whether you draw or not. I know you guys are, because I see the work that you do, and it's incredible. But for me, it learning how to draw really helped me to kind of develop that design sense, because I was paying a lot more attention to stuff. When I was learning how to sketch, I was watching like transportation design and industrial design. And I really helped to kind of develop that critical eye. So the process of learning how to draw actually made me better at design, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that, because when I started doing just 2D CAD and I'm drawing stuff in Aspire, basically designing my amp racks, that made me feel like I'm doing a better job of coming up with a better design, because you can physically see the lines before you cut them, versus 10 years ago when you're building something, you're just fucking going with your idea and then lining it up and being like, let's work from here.
Yeah, like, I'm out of time.
Deal, right? Yeah. So now you can foresee it before you start, and that's kind of my way to design on the fly, versus your way where you're fucking just drawing the finished part.
Yeah. And then I'm done.
Yeah.
Click print.
Click and print.
Do you do much 3D printing?
A little bit.
Any?
I actually don't have a 3D printer in house, but I found a service that's local that they have a massive 3D printer. So I do. I'm fairly functional with Fusion 360 enough that I can design parts and ship them out, or ship the design off and have parts printed out for me. And it usually takes like 4 or 5 days. Like, I have parts here.
So I was gonna say, I mean, like, that's right up your alley for your conceptual drawing, and it just, for you to not have something like that to your disposal would just be a sin.
Yeah, it's game changing, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I know Gary's doing a ton of 3D printing and is super adept with software now. But
nah, I wouldn't say super. I'm getting better.
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah. But it's seriously like that's the game changer, yeah. I think, right there. And it's really cool to see what Katz and Carlson and those guys are doing with it, because those guys are phenomenal designers, right? And they're leveraging the technology in a way that really, it allows them to design parts that they wouldn't have been able to design, rather than just using the technology to their limits. They're like really maximizing what they can do with that.
Oh, for sure.
That type of technology, right? And that's kind of what I see with guys that are like, now that everybody has a laser, it's like you kind of see like everybody's doing, like, there's just tons of logos everywhere, and there's tons of like mesh cutouts everywhere, and it's like the technology is just another tool. There's so much more that you can do with that, and I think that's when you see what like Katz and Carlson and those guys are doing with the 3D design technology. It's like it's just super elevated, and it's amazing to see.
And I think that's what puts our industry at a super advantage versus your interior trimmers and people like that, because they've been used to like kind of the old school, just fucking chipboard and vinyl, and they're just coming new to the technology of that. Whereas we're more of fabricators. So we're used to engineering stuff. And now that we can foresee where depth clearances are, or magnet pockets and stuff like that go, we can foresee that. So when we have a technology like a laser or 3D printing, it just gives us this massive advantage, as long as you have the skill set to apply that to this new technology.
Yeah, and it takes and vision. I think you definitely have to have that vision.
It's seeing 13 steps ahead of what you're building is the big thing.
Yeah, oh, for sure. But I guess my point is that what guys like that are doing are, it's not like now I have this machine that can do what I could do with a router. It's not like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not just I have automation, so now I can do exactly the same thing that I would have done before. It's just going to be easier. It's like, now I have automation. I can do things that I could not do before. Right. And those are the guys that are at the forefront of that. And
right.
Really
or would have taken, gallons of fiberglass and filler and weighed 8,000 pounds. And that side of it. Now we can do it in a suitable part for a modern hot rod or a modern car.
Yeah. So I definitely I would love to get some 3D printers in house and get more into that. And I've got Fusion 360 for all the guys here, like seats for everyone, so they can start learning how to use the software. But that's definitely the next evolution for us, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always the last person to the party. You guys will be into it. Like the whole laser movement, dude. I was fucking still cutting stuff by hand, and I've told the story a million times when I was at the all-star class and we're doing the consoles, and I'm fucking making some part for a console by hand, of course. And Carlson comes over, looks at me, looks at what I'm trying to build, and then he walks away, and then he fucking comes back like 3 minutes later. And he's like, "Is this what you're trying to make?" Like, yeah, it's what I'm trying to make.
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks, dude.
Yeah, but it's
And
that
then he laughs
education.
and runs away.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, to me, this is just like I see a lot of installers that come up now that don't have the fundamentals in electronics and troubleshooting. Where like if you came
For
up
sure.
in the early days, you know, you came up in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
You didn't have
you
anyone to
knew-
call.
Well, you knew how to troubleshoot, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You had to understand how an electrical system in a car worked, how the audio system was working. You had a much deeper understanding back then. The guys today that just got into it because they either were bass heads or they loved the fab side or whatever, I feel like they didn't have that volume of cars. They haven't been slapping radios in cars all day and having to figure out when something didn't work. Like it's that background education is not there. And just like that, when it comes to the fabrication side, the reason the three of us are here having this conversation, the reason we're successful is because we did do it by hand. We
Right.
did figure
Right,
out how to
right.
make it with a router first. We did figure all those things out. And now when we see it on a computer or we're using these tools, we have the background that makes us understand here's how this is going to work. And we're not designing a part that's going to fail when we put it in the car because we have that experience. We've done it wrong. We've done it the hard way. We know what works and what doesn't. And for a guy that hops in and knows how to use CAD and gets a laser, doesn't understand the fundamentals of making a trim panel that's going to work and be serviceable in a car and fitting gaps and that kind of stuff. Like without that background experience, the fact that you know how to, click a mouse doesn't make you a great installer.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, I mean, like, if an installer runs into an issue, just say in our industry with a remote start, in 2 seconds before they start trying to troubleshoot themselves, they're sending out a fucking question to like a direct text Facebook group and then awaiting a response. Whereas when we were doing stuff, 20 years ago, there is none of that. Like, we have to figure it out or the job doesn't get done. So
Right.
you've built that troubleshooting background in order to overcome problems. And even with fabrication, we didn't have the same outlet. So you try and you fail, you learn, and then you try and fail, and hopefully you don't fail again because you came up with a solution.
Yeah, it's kind of how auto mechanics are these days. They plug their scan
Yeah.
tool in and it
Right.
tells them what's wrong with the car and they start throwing parts at it.
But
and
I
it's-
mean, in their defense and the new guy's defense, it's not the same thing that it was 20 years ago. or
It's
30
true.
years
It's
ago.
true.
Like I was like I said, I was a mobile installer sitting on a car dealer lot by myself, having installed whatever, and you develop troubleshooting skills, and I could track down any problem in a 12-volt system, but it was just all 12-volt stuff. You know what I mean? There weren't computers in cars. There wasn't firmware updates. There wasn't push to start. There wasn't all this stuff. So I mean, the stuff that they're dealing with now is a lot more complex, and most of it I know I couldn't troubleshoot. A lot of the stuff that the remote start guys are dealing with right now.
I was at a local stereo shop a while back, and I'm talking to the guy behind the counter, and he was talking about how they had just done this van, and the guy came back and he was pissed because his parking lights didn't work and the radio stopped working and blah blah blah. And he's like, "I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with it." I'm like, "You don't know what's going on with it?" I'm like, "You gave me 2 lines and I can tell you what happened." And he's like, "No, you can't, whatever, blah, blah." I'm like, "Yeah, 100%. You grounded it to the dimmer wire. You grounded the radio to the dimmer wire." I'm like, that's old school troubleshooting 101. You always hit the dimmer switch. If you're trying to ground to a wire in the harness, hit the dimmer switch and see if the ground goes away. I'm like, you pop the fuse on the parking lights, pull it out, ground the radio to metal, and he was like, he still didn't believe me. Like I left, and he didn't believe me that like I had told him what it was off of him telling me 2 symptoms, and it's like, yeah, that's what.
And my cars have changed. Like Tom, this Tesla Plaid right now, the new Tesla,
right?
The battery is a lithium-ion battery that's about the size of this. It's like a small BCM. And it has basically a closed circuit plugged into it. So there's really no spot to really tap into. It's 15.5 volts on the whole electronic side. And that's what you're dealing with. There's no traditional fuses in the car. It's all E-fuses. So if anything ever happened, you'd have to call Tesla to get them to reset a fuse. And to add an audio system, it's a huge fucking deal in order to even tap into the system. And soon all cars that are going to be electronic are going to be the same thing, where it's going to be a completely closed circuit that only has the amperage to power the stuff in the car, and there is no tap-in points.
I feel like, Matt, today, after you getting into that car, that you have the same perspective I did. I think it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I walked into CES. And remember, I've been going to CES since the 90s, since it was at the Sands Convention Center, right? A couple years ago, I walked into the back door of the North Hall, and what used to be this hall full of car audio and full of like just that was the world, was car audio back then, right? And there was maybe 2 or 3 car audio booths in the North Hall, and everything was autonomous cars and drones. And that was the year they brought the helicopter, the autonomous helicopter. Like, and I just sat there thinking to myself, like, wow, the world has changed.
Oh yeah.
Right? The world has changed. I feel like, Matt, you had that experience today, like getting into the Tesla.
For sure. Because, when I worked on the Porsche Taycan, I'm like, wow, this is still, they did a great job, because it's still like a fucking car, right? It's not like a Tesla at all. It's fucking built nice. It's a Porsche. You wouldn't know it's a electronic car based on what we're used to with Tesla. Tesla, you're just like, okay, they built this way different. Porsche, it was still like a normal car. But this new Tesla, dude, it's fucking way different. And the way that they even designed the dashboard with the speakers, you got to pull the full dash. And before, with the Tesla, you just have to pull the top of the dash pad.
Right.
This, you have to pull the bottom dash, the middle dash, the screen, and the top, the gauge cluster, like the LCD screen, all that's attached to the top. And then the grill for the top speakers has a bunch of Torx where it would meet the windshield to pull off that top thing. Yeah, dude, it is a fucking pain in the ass. Like, this car, going forward, we're never using factory locations. We're always going to do pillars, because you can actually get to the speaker leads for the center and the 2 mids on the dash from underneath the dash. So never again is this dash being pulled. I pulled it just to do like research. But again, this whole car is just way different. You have to add a battery at minimum in the back, which can't even be a 12-volt battery. It's got to be like a 14-volt battery because of the voltage that the car sits at. So, again, I'm trying, I'm experimenting, I'm crossing my fingers, and I'm hoping nothing goes wrong. Because, like, I pull out the screen, I unplug it, I turn on the car, and then I plug the screen back in to make sure that if I unplug the screen, it's not going to give me an error message. If I unplug this and plug it back in, it's not going to give me an error message. Because that's a fucked up thing with Tesla, is like, you get an error message, then the owner has to fall to get something reset. So I'm like doing all this recon to pull out each, like the airbag, and then plug it back in to make sure everything goes back to normal.
Is the customer local, or is this something that got shipped?
I mean, it's like 4 hours away.
Yeah.
Sucks to be first, huh? So for everyone listening, if you're working on a model Plaid later and you need tech support,
Matt's cell phone number is...
I did tell the guy up front, I said, listen, this is the first that anyone's done of this, because you can't, like, people haven't even done radar because they don't even know where to tap because there is no plug like the old ones. There's nothing. It's all a closed system. So I'm just trying to do the recon and figure it out. And I guess you'll find out in a month if I post a build log, it went well. If I don't,
if we
then
never
we put
hear
it back
about
to
this
stock.
car again.
But yeah, that's definitely a future podcast to talk about how cars are going for this electronic, because there's going to be companies like PAC that are going to have to start making stuff to integrate into electronic cars safely.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. And the way it's so cyclical. I mean, there's always some new challenge, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
for
there's
sure.
always something that we can't figure out, and then we figure it out.
Yeah, that's why I'm not worried about it, because there's also companies with their well-being's on the line to stay a company.
How's the factory system in that car?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Is it a brand new one?
No, it's way better than the last one. But they also made some pretty critical changes to make it better. Like I would say on a lot of the Model X's, we would refabricate the factory subwoofer enclosure to accept a new 10-inch subwoofer and mount it in the same spot. This is very similar to that. Like the box is way bigger and it's more of a traditional size, so we can refabricate the front to accept like a 10-inch Utopia M. But like it just has way more low end to it that is acceptable in the sense of what we're used to.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good that they don't have just crap.
But it's not good,
car that's
at the same time, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, this is great. Because again, we talked about what people's reference is.
No, yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
not great.
Yeah.
So.
Luckily for us, there's always going to be people for whom the finest factory systems are not good enough. Yeah. Or it's just not right for them. There's always something that they can.
Some are just downright terrible. And
yeah. Do you have one in mind?
Oh, most of them. No, I'm just kidding. No, you know it. You know how bad most of the Porsche systems are. Yeah. You know how bad. We do a lot of Tundras because they have terrible systems. Yeah. We'll see how that new one sounds when it's finally out. I see they changed speaker locations for the 2022. So
this is kind of a side. I had an interesting. We were talking about going first. I had a customer stop by today, and he just got a 488, and he sold his 458, and the 458 was the very first car that got the infrared transmitting laser lens housings, and we were the first ones to do that, and so that car was like the very first car in the country, if not in the world, to have those infrared transmitter housings. And I told him that, and he's like, "Oh crap! I didn't even know that. I could have sold it as a collector car." I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that famous, but
oh yeah, Tom does a ton of really cool radar stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what would you say the percentage of audio versus radar you do? Because it seems like you do a lot of radar.
It seems like every time we get a signature project now, it gets both, and it gets a pretty major radar laser system and then audio, but. I haven't looked at the numbers for this year, but it's probably radar laser in terms of just gross revenue is probably 25 to 30% of our business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because I know that we mostly deal with audio on this podcast and we don't talk a lot about radar, and it'll be fun because a lot of people will be driving or whatever. Tom, what does a really high-end radar cost?
People are about to drive off the road. Right?
For our highest performance system, you're probably in the $10,000 to $12,000 range.
Okay. Sounds about right.
Yeah. With all the bells and whistles and the custom fabricated housings and everything. The one that's
maybe a little higher now since ALP just raised their prices.
They did raise their prices.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
slightly
12.4.
And your high-end radar system that consists of ALP and Escort.
Yeah.
Max CI.
Yeah, Escort, Max CI for radar. Yeah, that's still, in our opinion, still the best performing system that we've seen with the ALP. Like usually a triple front and then either dual or triple rears.
What guns does Oregon use typically?
They don't have Dragon Eye here yet. There is. I'm not really sure which guns they use actually.
There is a website out there. I could probably send it to you that tells you like all the active guns that your state uses,
Yeah.
which makes it convenient because it even I don't know who's updating the fucking information, but they even show the frequencies at which they shoot, so you can really tailor the system based on where the client drives,
Right.
which is, kind of cool. Obviously, we know that in the modern day of radar, it's tough to weed out the nonsense and have the real threats come through, which is what makes a great radar system great. And I think what distinguishes the escort system over a lot of the other radar systems out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are getting really good at that too. They have to balance the super high sensitivity so that it works. You really have performance with the really smart filtering to
Yeah, there's probably so many people
eliminate all
listening right
falses.
now who are enthusiasts that really aren't educated on the subject and still think that you can have a dash mount like radar and that's going to somehow protect you against laser as well. It's funny how many of those people that actually come into our shop. It's kind of like why I mentioned that because I know that there's probably a lot of enthusiasts listening.
Well, because
Probably
it
gonna,
goes off if there's a laser, right?
yeah,
Because
it'll go
it
off,
has
but
a
it's not
laser
protecting you.
detector.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, there's always that.
So yeah, we do a lot of that, and it's fun from the creative side, the fabrication side, because we get to do like all these cool little integrated features and
Mm-hmm.
make the whole thing kind of disappear into the car. It's definitely not as satisfying as doing a big custom audio system and sitting it at the end and
Mm-hmm.
you know listening to it.
Let me ask you this. What's the best reaction or demo story that you can recall of your time ever of being in audio?
Oh man, put me on the spot. Hmm. We have a customer who's done just a bunch of cars with us, and it probably wasn't any single delivery. I don't know. This is kind of weird. The guy is just super warm, and like you want him to like you. Like he's just like
Mm-hmm.
like the nicest guy in the world, and he's spent a ton of money with us, and he's truly loves everything that we do. But it's not the like he wasn't doing backflips and he wasn't going crazy at
Mm-hmm.
delivery and stuff like that. It's just when you deliver the car and he sits in and he listens to it and he gives you that smile,
Mm-hmm.
and it just like it's heartwarming. It's heartwarming. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
he's the kind of guy that you just like. I really want to make him happy, and not because he's brought a bunch of cars and spent money with us. He's just like a really warm-hearted kind of guy, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he continues to bring cars to us, and uh, that's probably the best reaction that I get is from him when we finish
And
his
he,
vehicles.
and here's another question. So, on a job where you build something aesthetically integrated and it has a great audio system, what are you doing first? Are you not showing the client what you built and sitting them in the car and doing the demo? Or are you going to show them what you built first and then sit in the car for a demo?
It's well, first of all, it's pretty rare anymore that I'm delivering the car unless it's
Demoing.
like a
Okay.
major project. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't usually do the demo.
Right.
Nick will do it, or Sean will do it, or one of the guys in the back. Um, but typically, if I'm involved in the delivery, it's a project that I've been like heavily involved in and done a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fabrication on, and so we'll do that first. We'll show them everything first.
Mm-hmm.
Lift up all the panels and show them behind the panels, and just let them get kind of enamored with all the way everything fits together and looks right and all that stuff, and then sit them down and have them listen to it. Is
I was
that
gonna
is that you or
no.
records? No.
So I was gonna say I would do it differently, but then again, I remembered that the client probably already knows what the fuck it looks like because you have a rendering. So that kind of took away everything that I was about to say, because obviously most clients have no idea what the fuck I built. So I always love listening to the audio first because at the end of the day, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And to know that it sounds that good and you hear nothing resonating, rattling, Like there's just, you're so keyed into something you've never really experienced before. And then the excitement to see then what it looks like, I think really plays well versus if I were to show them that first and then show them the audio side. I just think it plays different because it's cooler knowing how good it looks and knowing that it didn't get any noise. You see all these panels everywhere, but it didn't rattle, it didn't resonate, and it was just quiet. You know.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see.
It's kinda cool.
Yeah, see that side of it. I don't know how you get them to not look at stuff.
Well, I mean, most of the stuff
put them in the driver's seat.
Put them right in the
driver's seat.
Yeah, we put them right in the driver's seat, and
Yeah.
they can only see what's in front of them.
Do you send any like update photos when you're working on projects at all, or do they come in completely?
No,
they have no idea what you've done.
completely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, completely unaware of what happened or what's going on. But I do sell them the concept, and kind of like what I've told Gary in the past is when I come up with a concept, I always want to challenge myself. So I'll say we'll use certain materials or do something like in a Porsche GT3 that I did. I'm like, listen, I'm going to do the whole closure out of carbon fiber, and I'm going to vacuum mold it, resin infuse it exactly how Porsche would do it if it was their part. I've never done that before in my life.
Yeah.
But I know that if I tell them that really puts me in this position where I have to do it, where I don't have an out in myself to where I'm like, here, I'll just build it easy and, with things that I know how to do and then call it a day. Because that's what a lot of people would do in that position. So I kind of put myself in a box where I have to do what I say, and then that's what I end up doing in that sense. So they understand the concept, but they haven't seen it. Rarely I'll send like a very close snippet of something, like if I'm excited and I'm just like, yeah. But other than that, like really nobody really knows. And I think that that's part of the excitement. And I think I describe a lot of that in YouTube videos for people to like know that that's how the process goes, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
You love being outside your comfort zone.
I mean,
that's the only way you.
It's the only way you grow.
Yeah.
You don't want to be stagnant.
So how was it? The carbon fiber infused sub enclosure. You can do it again.
So doing that whole process, the easier route would have been just doing a wet layup. Obviously, I mean that's really the easiest way to do that. But I learned the whole process. I bought all the stuff to do it correctly. I mean, it was fun. It's resin infusing something is more if you have a mold for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you have a
Did you
complete
do it as an
mold-
overlay, Matt? Did you?
Yeah, I did it as an overlay.
You sculpted it and then overlaid and
yeah, I built it out of fiberglass and then overlaid it. But the problems that you always run into with carbon fiber, especially on very complex shapes, is the carbon fiber lifting over time, and then you have like a bubble in a small spot. Whereas if you vacuum it and resin infuse it, you're not really going to have the same issues. But also if you resin infuse it, you have this mesh that lays over top of it that is going to leave an imprint. And that's generally why you would do a mold where the finished side would be against the mold, and then where you resin infuse it is going to be the side that's not seen.
Right.
So again, it's just learning different things, and it was a few more layers of epoxy. But
I was gonna say, did you end up going back and clear coating over it anyways? And
yeah, it was a few more layers of epoxy to diminish any kind of ripple that you would see from the mesh. But you learn a new way to do something, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is growing and learning. And that first, when people associated me with carbon fiber, was ZL1 I did way back in the day, and that was the first thing I ever did in carbon fiber. But I sold the client from the beginning. I said, listen, I'm going to build all these panels out of carbon fiber. I never fucked with it a day in my life. But I feel like that's what you have to do to like force yourself to get outside your comfort zone, because that's what the client's expecting. He's expecting that finished result to look like what he thinks is a finished carbon fiber part. So you figure it out on the fly, and I think that's the best way to to learn is when the fire's under your feet.
Oh, for
What's
sure.
what's the worst one you've ever done? What's the biggest hole you've ever dug for yourself, Matt? In
I don't
something
know.
like that.
I mean, I thought it was going to be the Escalade when I was like, you know what? We're going to motorize half your amps out of the subwoofer enclosure using like your rear seat, the rear seat button, because we deleted the third row seats. And then I said, what I'm thinking in my head is you'll hit the seat up button, and then all of these amps will motorize up out of the subwoofer enclosure. And again, I just had no idea how it was going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of fucking weight and all this other stuff, but you figure it out. Worked out great. That's all I can say about that.
What about you, Tom? What's the
Oh my
what's the
God.
biggest hole you've ever dug for
It's
yourself?
just an ongoing
Daily.
just potholes in the road every day, like a ton of them. But I mean, I think that's kind of that's kind of what pushes us to always find new stuff and get better. Is that you kind of get bored with stuff, right? Like if you've already done it, you don't want to do it again, right? And it's kind of it's definitely doesn't make you very commercially successful if you
Right.
you
Of
know
course.
because you want to figure out how to do something, maximize the efficiency on that process, and then repeat. But there's like the creative artistic side of us that we just always want to be trying new stuff and doing new stuff, and it's definitely does not lead to efficient productivity but it leads to some really cool shit, right?
Yeah, and that's what sucks because like we had talked about CAD and repeatability, and the one thing that I always tell to all my clients is like, I'm never gonna fucking repeat anything. Like anything that's designed for you
No, sorry, I
is
already
the
done that.
only thing that's going to be out there. It's all of it is one off. So like when I just did like this Vanderhall Carmel, I made these door panels for it and then posted it to like the Vanderhall Facebook group, and everyone's like, holy shit, how much for the door panel shipped? And I'm like, yeah, I don't do that shit. Even though I could repeat it.
Mental
at the same
note,
time-
start selling Vanderhall door No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot of opportunities here, man. Make a lot of money.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I think we get ourselves into trouble a lot, but that's, I don't know, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it exciting, and that's at the end of the day, that's what makes it a more fulfilling job for us and why we kind of do this stuff. Yeah.
It's also why we go to Mobile Solutions, so that we can beat ourselves up for a few days at a
We
time.
can do stupid stuff. Yeah, that's a terrible idea. Let's do it.
Oh, just be scared the day, Tom, where I actually look at it. I'm like, this is awesome. We should be doing this.
Yeah. No.
That'll never happen.
Yeah.
So here's the moral of the story. Anytime that Gary's with us on a Mobile Solutions trip, anytime that I've been with Tom, we have zero time for Top Golf.
No.
Anytime Tom and I are in a Mobile Solutions training without Gary, we have plenty of time for Top Golf.
What does that mean? Gary.
Oh, hey, okay, I'll take that, I guess.
I think Gary just doesn't like Topgolf.
I loved.
Gary.
I went to. You
push
played
the
Top Golf
envelope.
with me one time. You saw what happens. I enjoy it.
And it's extra deadly when I think Gary and I work together because Gary's like, we could always do this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, we could do that.
That's like the most dangerous word. I try to avoid that in the shop. It would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy instigating and pushing people, and then to me it's somewhat fun to just see at what
Gary
point they're
always
like,
gets
just
this, like,
just
super
stop.
devious look in his eyes, and when he's coming up with something, he's like, "Yeah, you know what? You know what we could
You guys,
do?
you guys know this though. You know that like we do all this stuff and we push all these big over the top things, and you guys know that I geek out more about building something that's like the size of the end of this than anything. Like I like the smallest, tiniest detail that somebody has to hunt for more than I like the big, huge, crazy.
Totally.
I do require a certain amount of loco in everything that I do. Just
You
a
do.
little bit of loco.
But Gary always finds a way. Always
Yeah.
finds a way.
Yeah. I'd like to fall gracefully.
Well, I think what it is you accept failure. You know what I mean? Like you accept if something doesn't work because you're like, oh, all right, now I know that doesn't work.
Yeah, let's try another way.
Yeah. And that's huge. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
we talk about this all the time. I don't know if Tom ever even listens to the podcast or not, but we do talk a lot about not being afraid to fail, and like you gotta just go for it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and find another way and get it done.
Oh, totally, for sure.
Yeah,
So
I'd rather try and fail a bunch of times than just stop trying.
I don't know about a bunch of times.
Well, yeah, I'd prefer it work on the first try.
Perhaps.
Yeah, but again, I'd rather dust off and give it another go than to give up.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So is there a part that you can recall in the last 7 years that you built and then you were like, no, I don't like it, and you threw it away?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, and actually, ironically enough, it was another set of gigantic fucking tweeters in a BMW 5 Series, and I was trying to figure out how to fit them in the sails, and I came up with a whole concept and built these pods.
Because this is
that are
always
like-
important for like other, I would say, people in our industry
Yeah.
listening to understand that like sometimes things just don't come out the way that you envisioned, and to have the strength and ability to know that I have to deliver a certain type of product and this just isn't good enough.
Yeah, that was definitely an example of me. Actually, it used to happen. Obviously, when I was learning, it happened quite a bit, right? But that was like I had to fit some giant dyne audio tweeters in the doors, in the window, or in the sail panels of a BMW. And I probably spent a day and a half, 2 days on them, threw them away. It was awful. We started over. But that's part of, I'm like super, I get anxiety if I have to design something I don't have a really solid vision of it. I don't like that, man.
Yeah,
like, I need to know exactly what it's going to look like, or really good idea of what it's going to look like when it's done. Or I get really paralyzed. I have a hard time. I have a hard time with that whole, I'm just going to start cutting shit.
Yeah, because that's funny, because we're just literally polar opposites of our design process.
Yeah,
and it's cool because like when you see the end result, you're just like, it makes sense. But it's just funny how like people go through that process.
Yeah,
you're right, Gary. You were just hawking up along.
Yeah,
muted your mic.
I think I got the mic muted. I hope I got the mic.
I was almost getting concerned. I was trying to. I'd be like, do I know any Gary's contacts close by?
It's not until I'm like 9-1. No, I'm okay. I just, I don't know what happened. I started choking.
What are you drinking, Gary?
Water now.
That's the problem.
I do have an old fashioned here. The second one that my wife made me. I don't know.
My old fashioned is now straight whiskey because my ice is gone, and any kind of simple syrup or anything like that is gone. There's 0 bitters over here. I just have a whiskey bottle, so I'm basically just drinking whiskey.
Whiskey. With
what
cherries.
about you, Tom? What about you?
I had some coffee with some whiskey in it, but that's done. Yeah.
Tom and his coffee. Always with the coffee.
Always with the coffee. I told Matt that I just recently discovered old fashions. Actually, I just recently started drinking them. I was on a trip in Bend and at a restaurant, and I had a like maple old fashioned. I don't know. It was delicious. And so I was like, yes.
Nice.
So I had another one. And then, I've been trying them when I go out to eat. Now I've been trying old fashions, and I didn't know how delicious they were. I didn't know what you guys were onto.
Well,
they're amazing.
See?
Yeah. I had a Resposado one, like a tequila one. Amazing too.
Yeah, it's good.
So, yeah. I'm down with the old fashions now for sure.
Yeah, last season on the old fashioned podcast, I ran out of whiskey, and then I started making tequila old fashions. So
yeah.
I've been there, Tom. It's pretty good.
You ran out of whiskey doing the podcast?
Yeah, I'm good now. I built a whole fucking bar. I'm stocked.
Yeah, he built a bar just
really?
to not run out. Yeah.
Legit bar too.
We'll have to
Wait,
take Tom on.
concrete? The whole top's concrete? I have like 70 bottles of everything that you could ever need in there.
Oh my gosh.
Damn.
We are, like, when we entertain now, we're developing a menu that we give to guests when they come over, so they can literally order cocktails.
Very nice.
No, that's a
Do you make them yourself, or do you have a bartender?
Make them ourselves, but obviously in 12-volt car audio fashion. The lights in the bar illuminate every day at 7 p.m. Turn off at every night, automatically kick on.
You need a little like last call sign.
Yep.
Kicks on at 2 a.m.
I love it.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, I love it.
man. I want to party at Matt's house. That sounds amazing.
You should come over
Telling you.
sometime.
We'll have to take
You would
you
love
on
it here.
the old-fashioned tour in Vegas.
I would
Tom.
say coincidentally, it's kind of like Portland East here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Delaware.
Yeah, it's a bunch of Toms running around.
Bunch of Toms. That sounds like a derogatory term, almost. Like what do you mean?
I didn't
by
say
that,
uncle.
Oh, yeah.
I just
Whoa,
said Toms.
whoa.
Oh, we about to get canceled.
Yeah, 1:38 and 42 seconds. Cut.
Make a note. What are you working on, Gary?
Like at the second or in the shop?
At the shop.
At the shop, we just finished. I just did two air-cooled 911s. I did an 86 and an 87 like at the same time, and did some cool. That's the rectangle grill in the door, and so like we did some cool grills that look just like the factory, only bigger. And then I got a C10 in there that we're going a little nutty with. 8s in the kicks, set of horns under the dash, 4 TW310s behind the seat. I have a GMC truck, set of Audio Frog GB60s, GB15 up front, a couple Arc Audio amps, DSP, and then I have the Camaro, which is that redo that we'll dedicate an episode
You
to.
got them stacked. That's a lot of projects,
it's stacked
man.
up. We're to the gills.
Yeah.
So
Matt, do you ever have more than one project going on at the same time, or
Never.
It's
Never. Yeah, I do
serial,
one car.
bring it
finish
in, finish it,
Yep.
bring in the next?
Yep. Again, I can't do
That sounds amazing.
2 projects at once. Yeah.
yeah.
But at the same time, like today, obviously my day also consists of helping some of the other guys in the shop, where we have one of our younger guys, Aaron, who's kind of like who I'm mentoring. He's starting to do a lot of the projects that doesn't require a lot of fab, but requires high-end product. And I generally end up tuning those cars. And today it was kind of like a job that was done a while ago when we had another installer here. Basically, the tune wasn't great, and the client brought the car back, and we retuned this Jaguar and ended up making it sound really good. And it's always fun on projects like that because he gets the opportunity to tune it, and then we can go through and say, okay, well, like your mid bass are out of phase, and this is why, and then try and give him that educational moment to understand like what we did, the changes that we made, and then he can see how much better it sounds once we make that change. So again, it's just like real world issues with, I would say, higher end product, to where we can then let this person understand more and more to start doing the same type of stuff that I'm doing.
So do you think you'll like transition him into your
So
area?
it's tough because at the end of the day, like I could definitely use a helper.
Yeah.
And he's definitely competent, but at the same time, like he makes so much money for Brian on the sound effects side
Yeah.
that he doesn't want to pull him off that unless there's a replacement for him. So it's tough because, in the past I've had, people like, Dan McElwain, which we've worked together, I think, with you maybe on something at some point at Mobile Solutions. But, he came to me and he was like, he knew nothing about car audio, and now he works for Ford doing the engineering
that's right.
side of stuff. So, I've trained people to like understand what we do in the design and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, like in the scenario I'm in, I'm just still like helping I would say the retail side of sound effects while still managing the projects that I'm doing.
Yeah. It's it's going to be really tough for you to bring somebody else on, mentor them, and relinquish any sense of control, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you don't have to.
And
You got
and
a really good thing going.
here's a fun fact actually. I don't think a lot of people know this, but Dan and I were gonna open up when we lived in Virginia. I think before he ended up moving back to Michigan, where he came from. He's like the Canadian Michigan border. We were gonna open up a shop called Mosaic in Ashburn, Virginia, and we
Yeah,
were
you
gonna
already
go
had the name
business
back
with
then, huh?
yeah, everything, the logo, everything was made back then. And it's funny because when I came to Brian Layton at Sound Effects, once we were doing all this kind of like Tesla stuff, he was like, we need a name for what we're doing because I want to develop a website. And Brian Layton is a very advertiser. Like, I'm going to just buy a website domain and we're going to like plug it for advertisement. And I was like, well, I've already had a name for a long time. And I have a logo and I have like all the inner workings. And that's where Mosaic was born, because Mosaic was actually something that was already created that was going to be a official shop name of when I was going to go into business by myself. But I didn't do that because of, what you and Gary know is like your whole life is dedicated to that. And I just basically kissed my family goodbye for 8 years while I try and get this thing off the ground.
Yeah.
And that's just something I wasn't willing to accept.
Yeah.
And Brian gave me the opportunity to say, you can create this brand, but you don't have that same overhead or responsibility.
Yeah, it's a really good arrangement.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for anything better than that, I don't think. You're
Right.
basically the owner without having to,
Exactly.
Yeah. And it definitely, Matt and I, we talked about this. I've been playing a lot of golf lately. Right. But when we started Musicar in 2010, I was a pretty avid golfer back then and started Musicar, and I literally didn't play a round of golf for 10 years,
Mhm.
and spent way too much time away from my family and way too much time away from my kids. And was it worth it? Probably not.
Right.
No, I would say definitely not.
Definitely not.
Yeah, those are times that you're not going to get back, and you can always do something else to make money. But it is what it is, and it took what it took, and it was a lot of hard work to get it to where it is,
Mhm.
and I was never Music Car was never a one man show like what you guys got going, but it was it was a 2-man show, and it was just Ken and I for a long time, and so there's nobody to help you out. The project's got to get done. I'm there all night. If there's a deadline, there's nobody that's going to jump in and help me out, and you just got to put the time in and get it done, and that's just the only way you can grow a business, as far as I know, in this industry on your own. You just got to put the time in. But it also helped. I think it really helped. Like, I don't, to this day, I can't tune a DSP. I don't do the system design. I don't need to. I was just getting into learning how to tune DSPs with the Zapco DC stuff when I started working with Ken. And then why would I bother? like, like, so that was what was really cool about Musicar when we first started, was we had the two of us had complementary skills, right? Like, he couldn't do what I could do, and I couldn't do what he could do. And so he just focused on his thing, and I focused on my thing. And we both got a lot better at each of those. Right. But I can't, trying to do it by yourself would be difficult. Like, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah. I think it's the hardest part is the sales side. like I get a ton of emails from people on YouTube, and obviously some are complete time wasters. And the way that I judge every email that I get, especially for the people listening, if you're ever going to send an email, it's how much time that you're spending in the email to me, right? So if it's clear that you've spent time and you've prepared, like I know you're serious. But if you're saying like a couple sentences with how much whatever, I don't have the time to respond. And I think that's the hardest part about managing my time, is trying to manage how much time I'm spending on the sales side versus the install side. Because the install side, like the car that I'm doing right now, the amount of sales that I'm doing is accounted into like the time that I'm working on this car. If this car is scheduled for 15 days quoted, within that 15 days, I'm still getting phone calls, emails that I have to send quotes to people. So
do you set that up, Matt? Do you set that up ahead of time where you're like, out of an 8-hour day, I'm putting 6 hours on the car and 2 hours towards, business stuff?
I feel like if I hit a point in which I need a mental break, or I need to figure out a solution mentally, or if I'm in the design process and I need a break, that's when I go to the sales side and I think about it in my subliminal while I type up an email. It's kind of weird, but that's kind of how I work. Because I have to, again, try and maximize my time from my sales side to my install side, because I don't get paid to sell, but at the same time, like I get paid for the jobs that are in there. So I have to manage my time very wisely, which is always a balance and tough. And, it's hard to get back to everyone and respond back to everyone.
Yeah, you must get a ton of inquiries.
Yeah. So it's tough. And like I said, it's all based on the amount of time somebody spends and knowing, if somebody took 20 minutes to type up an email, it's very evident they're serious. And those generally always land to a sold job. And I'm also always booked out at least probably 6 months. So I can always know that there's a buffer that I have in order to get the next job in. So it's not a perfect science by any means, but that's kind of like the balance that I've tried to work with, how I kind of manage the sales with the install.
Yeah.
What about you, Tom? How far out are you booking these days?
We're booked right now through December. So what's that?
Wow.
4 months? 3 months?
Yeah.
3.5 months.
That's good. It's shocking sometimes. I'm sure you guys deal with it, but it's shocking sometimes when you tell somebody, you're like, yeah, we're going to be 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks till we could, even think about this. And
I don't like it. I don't like being booked out that far. And I know it's in some ways it's kind of nice to have your schedule for the next 3, 4, 5 months lined up, and that's great and all. But I mean, we have so many clients that I just got a car and I just need to get a radar detector installed. And, that's like a 3-4 day job. And we just I can't fit you in for a radar detector until January. You know what I mean? And it's like a client that I really want to take care of. So I don't really like it being booked out that far, but that's just the nature of, typically before this whole COVID thing. I mean, we were booked out maybe a month and a half or something like that. And I'm comfortable with that. But being booked out that far in advance it's.
Do you feel like, possibly not now, but during COVID, do you feel like your sales just went through the roof?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, the
because
projects just started lining up.
Yeah, people couldn't travel and they didn't have money to spend.
Yeah, and I think everybody's discretionary income was going towards other stuff, and getting back to. I mean, we're doing some classic cars that people had, sitting in the driver forever, that they finally got around to putting some money into, and people going out and buying new cars and getting cars ready for road trips because they're not traveling, they're not getting on airplanes. They're gonna take their Cayenne across country or down to California or whatever it is. But yeah, definitely a lot of projects came in over the last 12 months that were hard to keep up with, for sure.
What would you say would be your Mona Lisa?
My Mona Lisa.
As far as your project
Lisa.
wise, like if you could pick one car and you're like, that was like, and I asked Carlson this, like if you could own one job that you did, what job would that be?
It would be Forza, the SL, the Mercedes SL.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys know this, but like when we do signature edition systems, we give them like a fancy Italian name. So it's super cool that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you spend enough money, you name your project, right? We give it a name. But Forza was an SL, a Mercedes SL 600 that we did. And it was basically, there's no backseat in that car, but there's that back storage compartment area. And we removed all that and put in 4 JL 8W3s in these. I mean, it's hard to. This is why I draw. I can't describe stuff with words.
Right? Jetpacky
looking sub enclosures that were super complicated to build, and that's one of those things where like you look at the build pictures and it looks so complicated, but you look at the finished project and it just looks seamless. And that's that's probably the one. That's probably my favorite project that I've done. I think it just looked right. I think it elevated the design of the car rather than taking away from it. Even though we put so much stuff in that car, it made the car look better than than it did before, which is tough to do.
We thought you were going to say Mobile Solutions golf cart, but
golf cart. The Mobile Solutions sub enclosure with a 1/2-inch acrylic window was. Oh yeah, that's got to be up there on the list too.
That was a terrible idea.
That was a horrible idea. So fun. That was one of the projects that I don't know. I was like, "This is what I want to do, Gary. How are we going to do it?"
Find a way. Find a way.
That project got so sideways so quick.
Yeah. We've had some really cool projects, dude. The speaker cabinets that we built for Camone.
Yeah.
That was super fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably one of my favorite times there. And I think it's because it went pretty seamless and we still had time to like hang out. When it sucks is like when we're there till 4 a.m. and we're just worn out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That went super smooth. I think the project that you and I did on Brian's wife's, Michelle, her Tahoe, I think it was. Yeah. That went super smooth.
Yeah.
Like we were done in a lot of time ahead. The sub enclosures we built, you and I finished in plenty of time on that, where we had time to like, it got to the end and we're like, what else could we add? Yeah, we're like, what else could we add to this? You know,
like no,
it's been a long time since I saw one of those.
Yeah,
but when we finished the speaker cabinets and we actually had time at the end of class to sit everybody down to listen to them, that was incredible. Yeah, that was such a fun listening session.
Yeah.
I think the problem is every time I go, there's some sort of like contest involved, and so everything gets elevated that everybody's trying to outdo everybody. But yeah,
maybe you're just a little too competitive, Gary.
I guess just a little, just a little.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Fun though.
So
I miss that.
So Tom, throughout this whole process of what you've been through in the industry, who would you say has been the person that always rings at the front of your mind that says I can be better at what I do? Like, who's your motivation? Because obviously we asked this about Brian Schmidt and he said you, so I think we need to ask you, and somehow we'll need to have the guest on of whoever you say.
Who's been my biggest motivation?
Yeah, like who's the person that drives you to like be better? Outside family, like in the industry.
I don't know, man. There's quite a few people. It's hard to nail that down to one. I would probably say Carlson, Jeremy Carlson. Oh, look at that. If you didn't, yeah, Gary wrote down Carlson on a piece of paper, pulled it out of his pocket. Like you wrote that earlier today.
No,
during
I wrote it
breakfast.
right. I wrote it right now.
Well, that puts us in a
When he
conundrum
asked the
because we had Carlson
Already
on for
had
the
Carlson
first
on.
episode.
Yeah, but I mean, Carlson is, and it's not. He's obviously super talented, super skilled, super knowledgeable, and he's done a lot of cool stuff. But it's really his attitude. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's just infectious to be around. He's so fun and motivating to work with. You never really get tired when you're working with Jeremy, and it's just like you can see it in the team that he's built and the way that the way that people work with Jeremy. It's just like he never gets upset. He never gets negative. He just his attitude is always super positive, and it's really really inspiring. I wish I could be like that more often. I do tend to let things get to me for sure, and I get a little grumpy sometimes. But yeah, and then I mean, obviously the level of work that he's doing, I already talked about that. Like it's so inspiring to see the stuff that he's pushing out, and every single thing he does is just at the top level. Like the way he builds a shop is there's no cleaner shop. The way everything he does, he puts everything into it. That's super cool.
Yep. And then he every time he steps it up a little bit and sets the bar a little higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, he's just 8,000 steps ahead of everybody else.
If you're not paying attention, he's gone. Like you don't even you can't even see where he is anymore. It's just like he's on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And super innovative. And he's I mean, he is partially responsible for a lot of what everybody uses nowadays, panels magnetizing together. He really was on the forefront of that. He didn't invent it, but he was like definitely popularized and took it to the next level, and different materials that he's always on the lookout for better ways to do things, which is
So now you're
cool.
seeing a lot of magnets in OE applications.
Oh yeah, totally right. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll say JC. Love you, JC.
So 5 years from now, where's Tom?
5 years from now.
5-year plan. The old school 5-year plan.
5-year plan. It's kind of a conundrum for me because we have, like we have the backlog of work and it just keeps growing and growing, and we can't get back to customers fast enough, and we can't get projects done fast enough. I would like to continue to grow the team. But I also want to make sure that I never kind of, that we never grow to a scale where we're not executing at the same level.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So to be able to, and that's why it's so difficult to select the right members for the team and keep the company growing in the right way. I definitely want to see, my guys continue to grow and elevate what they're doing, and hopefully just love what they're doing and keep that passion and not ever get burnt out and feel like they're doing production work. So I definitely see bringing more people into that environment if we can keep that environment going strong. 5 years from now, I'm already not working on cars a lot, and like if you'd asked me that even 2 years ago, I would have said, I'm never going to stop working on cars, man. But I'm already like, my eyes are going, I'm getting tired. I'm 51 years old now. So I can still go for a long time and work for a long time, but it takes a toll on me now. So in 5 years, I'll probably this is already the natural transition for me to being more like design director sort of thing. Like really like the renderings and the sketching
Yeah,
allows.
you sketch it, they build it.
Yeah, it really allows me to do that, and I want my guys to become more involved in the design process, so it becomes more collaborative than just me. Like, here's a drawing, go build this. I want it to be a more collaborative type of environment. So probably I'm here at Musicar in 5 years doing the same thing, working on cars less and have a couple more guys and pushing out more work, and who knows what kind of technology we'll be using in 5 years and what kind of projects we'll be doing in 5 years. But hopefully not too many model plaids.
It's funny, every time you look at like Facebook memories and you see the shit you were doing 5 years ago. 5 years is actually a long time.
Yeah.
If you think about the things that have changed in 5 years, and how each person has grown in 5 years, it's pretty substantial. I think it's pretty healthy that if you look at something you did last year or 2 years ago, I think you look at it with criticism and say that I could have definitely done that way better today. I hope you feel like that.
Oh, totally. I'm sure that I will look back on some of the stuff and say that was dumb, and some of the stuff and say that was that was rad.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We
I'll
try
never
not to
do
fall,
that again.
Try not to fall into the trend, too hard. But who knows what it's gonna be like in 5 years? We're gonna, we look back at, we were building everything out of fiberglass and it was all volcanoes, and then we look back at everything was like a 2-inch tall chamfer, stacked chamfer, right? And then I don't know. We'll probably look back and like everybody was using their lasers they were running all the time. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think our industry is a lot like fashion, where you can wear what everyone else wears, but I think the cool person is what's doing what isn't the fashion trend.
Yeah.
Just bucking from what everyone else is doing. So I think there's a lot of faith and experimentalness in people that really push our industry into a positive direction, because it's always easy to fall into the spot where you see this technique that one person uses, so like the next 15 things you see on Facebook all follow suit.
Yeah.
Carl is like fashion.
Some things are like hammer pants.
Timeless.
I'm wearing them right now. I call them happy pants.
Tom, I still have a pair of white leather Vision Streetwear, and I put them on every Easter.
Dude,
my wife gets so upset.
Oh my
I do.
God, I had those.
I do. I know.
Wow.
It's my first cool guy pair of shoes I ever owned.
Yeah.
And when I found a set, I actually bought them out of Europe, like in the box still, and I was like, it's like my prized possession. I get to wear them once a year, and my wife looks at me like I'm nuts every single time.
You really wear them every Easter?
Oh yeah. Dude,
you just need some gator pants and a pink Vision sleeveless tee.
I'll be right back.
I love this.
Man.
This is where it's unfortunate that our podcast has nothing to do with video.
This is going to be incredible. No. You got the Jimmy Z shorts. The Jimmy shorts and the Vision streetwears. Let's see those.
Yeah.
Let's see those Visions. How clean are they?
Like, because they only get worn once a year.
Oh, wow. Those aren't like the OG Visions.
They're not the OG.
Yeah.
They're like when they reproduced them, but yeah. Close enough.
That's sick.
The dyno freestyle bikes in the garage with all the skateboards hung on the ceiling. Yeah.
I also want to show you my Bones Brigade team jacket.
Oh.
I
was in San Jose like 2 weekends ago, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
I was too.
What?
I was driving down to LA to take my daughter to college. And
yeah. I knew you were coming down, but I was, yeah.
I'm going to have to be coming down there more often because my daughter's down there now in LA. So,
yeah.
Business trips.
Yay. Yeah, definitely come hang out. Not that you want to come see me while you're going to spend time with your daughter, but you are always welcome. You know that.
I don't feel it. Go skate. Hurt
Yeah.
ourselves.
Ugh. Yeah. I ache thinking about skating these days.
Dude, I got on my son's skateboard the other day and I felt like I had never ridden a skateboard before. And it like in my mind I can totally skate. Like in my mind
Yep.
I can ride bowls and I can do everything in my mind. And then as soon as I stepped on that bowl, if that board, it felt so I was like this old
Yeah.
slasher dude that was like, "Hey Ken, let me try your board out." Like, I had no idea what I was doing. It was so sad.
And to watch the kids these days, holy crap. Like, it seems like every kid around here can, like, do some insane kickflip or...
Dude, you see the kids in the Olympics are like 12, 13 years old, just ruling. Like,
oh, yeah.
So good. Insane.
Yeah. Absolutely nuts.
Oh, yeah.
What else? You got questions for us, Tom? What can we answer for you? What do you need to know?
Let's see. Give me your 5-year plan, Gary.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
we are not talking about that. I want to be retired in 5 years. I want to be on a beach in Mexico sipping margaritas and surfing, and yeah, that's where I'd love to be. I am a dreamer though, and you guys know that.
I said plan, 5-year plan.
Dream plan.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. Obviously, we've already been over the fact that I can't scale.
It's the first step that's the hardest.
So it's going to be a lot of the same. Hopefully just using different techniques that's going to expedite my process, making me more money. I have no idea.
You know, you're probably in like another 6 months, you'll be booked out 5 years, so that'll be your 5-year plan.
Yeah, there you
Hopefully.
go.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I'm enjoying my family, being able to go on good vacations that are going to be remembered. We just took my whole family to Paris, which was absolutely amazing seeing both my girls. I have a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old. To see their faces living a different type of life and culture was absolutely amazing. So we're not doing Disney trips anymore going forward.
No?
We're going to all be doing international trips.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah, I think so. We've been doing a lot of Disney trips for the past, since my oldest daughter's been alive. But even though we did do Disneyland Paris for a few days, I think the next big trip's going to be Tokyo.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Obviously, we will do Tokyo Disney, so I'm
So it is a
little
Disney
bit full
trip.
of shit. Yeah, it is a little bit full of shit, but no, I think it's trying to have my daughters understand different cultures and appreciate different people and how cultures work. Because again, taking them, especially my 13-year-old, to Paris was really cool. To just see Paris through her eyes, and her to go to the Louvre. She loves art, and we got a private tour guide at the Louvre, and the information that he had, and he was telling us, I was in my mind at the moment, I was thinking like me and my wife were getting all the benefits of this private tour guide, and then to find out that was like my daughter's favorite part of the trip.
Nice.
And then her reciting all the different little tidbits that he had about different pieces of art and how things were done was just really solidifying for me as a parent. It was really cool.
That is cool.
She's a talented artist too, huh? Your daughter.
Yeah, she's good, but she could focus more on art. She's really talented, but she hasn't drawn or spent the time in a while.
Yeah.
On something cool. Because there's social media, she's now in 8th grade, and there's just all of that. Whereas before all of that, she would spend a lot of time on art.
Yeah. My daughter was the same way though, and then she got really back into art in high school and started taking like the honors classes and stuff. And now she's like off to college studying science, but she's like still she got a job as the illustrator for the school newspaper and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But she drew a lot when she was little, painted, and then stopped around middle school, and then started back up in high school, drawing and painting and stuff.
I still have like 8 Valentine's Day cards she drew
Yeah, those are so cool. Yeah,
in my thing to send out. I send one out every year to different people.
nice. Yeah, that was fun. That was super fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
I took the kids to Tokyo when they were little.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that's
How
the
was
only
that?
international trip I ever did with them. Well, Kai, my oldest, was they all went to Japanese immersion school,
Mm-hmm.
so they actually all speak Japanese. And at the end of fifth grade, at the end of eighth grade, they take a school trip to Japan. So at the end of fifth grade, for Kai, he went to Japan for 2 weeks, and then we all met him at the end of his trip and stayed for another 2 weeks.
That's
And
cool.
I mean, I'm half Japanese, so I've been to Japan a
Right.
bunch of times, but taking the kids there for the first time was so cool, man. They,
Yep.
it's super fun. You love Tokyo.
Was it like a big culture shock?
For them, no, not really.
Really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
they were already like immersed in the
Okay,
culture a
the
little
culture,
bit, and then
yeah.
my mom is Japanese, so and like they know all about Japanese food and stuff like that.
What's the flight from Portland?
It's like 13 hours. 13 hours.
Yeah,
I
see,
think.
here it's brutal.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's like a 20-some hour flight.
yeah. But it's such a like, it's such a safe city. At least I hope it still is. I mean, that was 2008 when we went. But it's like it's a great place to take the family because it's just everybody's looks out for you, and it's like
Mhm.
really safe. Like I remember my friend telling me they were on a skate trip there and they left their wallet on a bench when they were skating at a skate park, just full of
Mhm.
their like all their Japanese currency was in their wallet, and they left it
Mhm.
on this bench. And they came back 4 hours later and it was just sitting right there on the bench. Like
Wow.
nobody picked it up, took any money out of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely next on the bucket list. As far as the family trip.
Yeah,
would
I
be
think
Tokyo.
you guys would love it. It's super fun.
Yeah.
Good food. You got to try some different stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I love embracing the culture, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we did Paris this time. Is we got a lot of local recommendations for a lot of places to eat where you don't really fall into the tourist traps.
Oh yeah.
I remember the first time I went to Paris, I went with Tom, and one of my greatest memories, two of them, is when we were in like Burgundy, France, and we took a fucking shot of moonshine. We took a shot of moonshine out of this bottle that had like 100-year-old dead viper fermenting in this fucking bottle. Like you saw pieces of it floating around the bottle, and it was like the smoothest shot.
It was so good. It was not
It was-
supposed to be that good, dude.
Dude, it was so good.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting it to be horrid, and it was unbelievable. And then another core memory that I had was we were at the winery, and fuck, Tom and Chris decided to like walk behind like this. I think it was you. You walked behind like a spot where you weren't supposed to go in this winery.
Oh, it was like
and you
that
walked up to
staircase.
some. Yeah, you walked up the
Yeah,
staircase
we got yelled
to
at.
this old lady's room. Like it was it was like her private room, and you thought it was like some scenery.
Yeah. We're just trying to
And
get a good
here's
view.
this France lady living at the top of her castle because it was in a castle. You like surprised her.
Well, yeah.
And then the third core memory is I remember we were at a bar at like 2 a.m. and it felt so sketch because like the only thing going through my mind, who's never traveled internationally, was like the fucking movie Taken. And I'm looking at every motherfucker in this bar like like
Like
they're
we weren't
about to
supposed to be
abduct
there.
one of her wives.
We weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah. Every dude in a leather jacket, I'm profiling so hard. And then it turned out to be like the silliest bar ever because there was like a group of people that had like all these fake mustaches, and they just put them up to their face, and you'd hear like a Dua Lipa song, but it would be in like French, and they would just be bopping around with these fake mustaches on their face. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why is it so different? It's very odd.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember
I
that?
don't remember the fake mustaches.
They all had like mustaches on a stick, and they were all like
So-
dancing around.
So, Tom, in your mind, were there no mustaches or were they real
I
mustaches?
don't remember the mustaches at all. There were
It was
no
like this
mustaches.
goofiest group of people, just all like it was so different from what I'm used to in America.
I would like to hear this exact conversation reverse about some people from there that came here and what
Yeah.
they saw at a bar in like Boston or something. Who knows?
That's funny.
I remember the shawarma, the street shawarma. That was so good. And Nalika
Yeah.
took us there. Oh,
And then it was really random too, because I think there was a day that Pate and his wife went out, Tom and Sue went out, and then me and my wife went out all individually.
yeah,
Never talked
right.
about what we were doing, and then we all ran into each other in like a 15-minute increment
Yeah,
in Paris, which was bizarre.
that's crazy.
So bizarre.
I remember you didn't like a lot of the weird foods in France.
At
You tried
first,
them,
no.
Frog
Yeah.
legs,
I was much more adaptable
snails.
this second time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you ate while you were there?
Who, Matt?
So
Either of you.
Yeah, so for me it was a snail because apparently you take like 4 bites of it and then you're supposed to swallow it. But for me, I didn't know that little nugget. So it was a lot like Big League Chew. And I'm like 22
Went on
bites
for
in.
way too long.
Yeah. I'm 22 bites in and then I get the salivation from my glands and then I'm like ready to puke.
When you started that, I was trying to figure out whether you shot it or chewed it too long.
Yeah, I chewed it way too long, and then I got the face. Everyone knows the face. And I got the face, and then I just like swallowed it and never had anything else. But then when we last went, I obviously had escargot with soup, which was much more delectable.
Yeah, that night was snails, frog legs, and the Viper moonshine.
Yeah, it was.
That was quite the.
But it was also
Cultural
It was
shock.
definitely a non-touristy place. It was literally in these like old couple's basement. It was like a legitimate couple who have a bed and breakfast in their house in the like middle of France, like nowhere
Yeah.
France.
It was super good.
It was authentic as you could get.
Yeah. I don't know. When we first got to Paris and we went to lunch with Nalika in that other non-touristy restaurant, and I ordered a bowl of tripe, and it smelled like dirty socks. You guys were pretty grossed out by that, but it was fucking delicious. It was so good. It did not.
I
smell
remember
good.
that. Yeah, it was like pig intestines or something. What was it?
Cow intestines.
Like what was the cow? Yeah, it was cow intestines.
I think.
And
Was it
Tom,
pig intestines?
it was pig intestines or cow intestines. It was literally the grossest thing I've ever seen on a plate.
Oh, so good.
Tom,
Delicious.
Tom was eating it like it was tiramisu.
It was good, dude. You gotta just ignore the fact that it smelled like dirty old socks.
I don't know. You're a much better man than me, Tom. I could have never done that.
I think you've both done more exotic foods than I would be up for. So,
Hmm. How about sushi?
me?
Yeah.
Nah,
No?
not so much. Not so much. Yeah, I'm pretty plain when it comes to food.
How about menudo?
Nope,
That's
not
got
my
tripe in
jam.
it. No? Just chicken fingers and french fries?
Well, I mean, not
Tater
quite that
tots.
bland, but yeah, I'm pretty plain when it comes to food.
We should get an international build trip thing going somewhere.
Secret
No, I
Watch.
was saying I was talking to Pate the other day, and he insinuated that the next France trip, which is next year, is supposed to be our close little group here.
Ooh.
So
Yes.
Does,
we're gonna
does
get a
Nalika
2.0
know
going.
this?
I don't know. I have to talk to Nalika, but now that it's on public air, it's fact.
This might get just
So-
edited. We have to,
Let
we
me
have to
let me
confirm
throw this one down
Nalika.
too.
Yeah.
2 hours,
2:24
minutes, 54.
2:24:55.
That would be dope. I thought
Yeah,
when
I'd
you
love to
were
go
going
back.
on this trip, I thought that it was the orca trip, and I thought you somehow
Nope.
convinced Nalika to let you bring the whole family. I was like, damn, it's a power
No.
move.
Yeah, would be a power move
Yeah.
for sure. But nope, it was just an individual trip.
Yeah, super
We were
cool.
supposed to go right before, literally 2 weeks before COVID happened. Initially,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
we had this.
So you had all
we
the
had
flight
this trip
credits and
planned.
everything?
We had all the credits, and it was a bitch to move and transfer.
Yeah. Did you have like rooms reserved and everything you had to get refunds on?
Yeah, we booked a new hotel,
Yeah.
new flights, and stuff like that. But we had so much stuff planned. We did it right, and we had time to plan it. We got a photographer, a a Paris photographer to do family pictures. So that was really cool. And she was a lot of the intel to eat at certain places, which worked out really well. But like I said, I think the trip in general worked out great because we brought a 4 year old, just turned 5 year old, and I didn't know how that would go with the travel and the food, and it worked out well. Like it honestly couldn't have went any better.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
awesome.
Really cool.
That's so cool that you got to bring your girls and show them that.
Mm-hmm.
That's killer. I don't know if the 5-year-old will remember that much. I know.
No,
Me-
we have plenty of video though.
yeah, Mia was 5 when we took her to Tokyo. She doesn't remember a whole lot, but we definitely have pictures.
So is the next time we're going to see each other at the Mobile Solutions event?
Possibly.
Because I'm not going to SEMA.
No.
I doubt I'll go to CES.
No. I'm not doing
Yeah,
any
are
of
you
that
doing-
shit.
You're not doing SEMA or CES, Tom?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Yeah, I haven't made a decision on either of those yet.
I'm okay with traveling now, but I'm definitely not down for trade shows at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, SEMA, it's too soon.
You've
Too
seen
crazy
you've
right
seen
now.
the hygienes, all the mini truckers. You don't want to be there.
Dude. I mean, I get sick every time I go to one of those things anyways. You know what I mean? I always catch something.
Dude, Tom, France was so nice because France instituted a health pass, which, obviously it's going to be debatable in America, but there to travel, if you want to visit anywhere, you basically need a health pass. And to get a health pass, you need your vaccine and you need proof of that. And then you basically get a QR code that you scan anytime you go into a restaurant, a bar, a bistro, whatever. And Disneyland Paris, we needed a health pass. If you visit the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, you need a health pass. And you basically scan it when you go in. So at least you know that all the other people there technically are somewhat healthy or vaccinated, which made the trip a lot better considering we had our 5-year-old there who isn't vaccinated, which made I guess it a little better
Yeah.
versus
No,
then
totally.
being
It's more comforting.
yeah. So, like I said, the tourism and the amount of people there were down, so we could really run through everything that was there, and also the French really embraced the tourism because they haven't had it in 2 years. So, I mean, it was literally like perfect trip.
That's awesome.
I'm waiting for the same sort of thing to happen here, and I think it's going to happen at some point. That they're going to institute something similar.
Yeah, I had heard
For, like,
something
big
the other
events like
day with Vegas that they were either going to have to do, I think it was they're either going to have to do 100% mask or 100% of the people had to be vaccinated, and they could choose one or the other. But it was going to have to be, they were going to have to make a choice. I don't know if that went through or not or what, but that's what I heard they were talking.
Wow. That's like what the city was telling the SEMA organizers?
For convention, for convention out there.
Wow. I don't know how many vendors have pulled out.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard that, there's some people that were going that have scaled back, and I mean, it's getting close. I mean, shoot, September already, and I guess that's closer than I think it is.
It's the first week of November.
I think COVID's made everyone reevaluate their business model because, like, you have people like, Brian Schmidt in our industry. He's like, we've never done so much revenue, and we didn't do one trade show.
Or
You
training.
know what I mean? So, yeah.
Or, yeah.
So, I mean, I think it really shows the details of where your business comes from.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening, man. It's really shocking. Like, I'm sure if you had asked Brian 2 years ago, right? If you can't do any
Right.
trade shows or any in-class training, like how much would that hurt your business? I'm sure he would have thought it would have hurt it tremendously.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean,
he
it's
figured out how
definitely
to
unique,
adapt.
though. Yeah, it's unique, and just in the same way that you're saying that you have a lot of customers that are working on projects that we're sitting and they're not using their discretionary income to go sit in a restaurant on a Friday night, and that type of stuff led to a lot of people spending money in other places, and it's helped a lot of businesses, and where it's also hurt a lot of businesses. If you know anybody who is a bartender or a server or anything like that, they're all not doing as well, and um, a lot of that money funneled into some of those businesses that made up for them not doing those. But you talk to the guys that build trade show booths or work in convention centers and that kind of stuff, and they're all hurting big time. So there are trade-offs there. But
For
yeah,
sure.
I'll be happy when this is all when we make it through to the other side, whenever that is, and we can start doing some of those events, because there's a lot of fun to be had that I miss, at least. I don't know about you guys, but it does feel like we've been secluded a bit for a couple years now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think the next time we're going to see each other is going to be at the Mobile Solutions event.
Mobile Solutions Expo, Master Tech Expo. I was
Master
trying to think.
Tech
I just remember that the
Expo.
last trip before COVID was Long Beach, finishing up the old Impala for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was the very beginning of
Yeah, that was right as this was kicking off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
February of 19 or 2020, February 2020,
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah, another terrible idea.
Yeah.
Why do I let you guys talk
Yeah.
me into this stuff?
Yeah.
No, it's still fun. I had a lot of fun. As much as I maintained from the first phone call that it was a terrible idea, I had a lot of fun. So
You might have mentioned that once or twice.
all day, every day.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Yeah. There were definitely times that I agreed with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was not wrong in that, by the way.
You weren't wrong. No.
Not wrong.
You were right.
Not wrong.
You were right. I was wrong. You're smart. I'm dumb.
No. We were all dumb together. None of us are as dumb as all of us.
Yeah. But it turned.
So Tom, I got two questions for you.
All right. Back to the podcast.
What's the best?
Hey, is there a podcast going on? I don't know.
That's how it goes.
What's the best advice that you have for a installer starting in 2021?
Ooh, wow.
Because I get this question kind of a lot on social media. Is like, what's your best? I'm a new installer starting out. I follow your work. What's the best piece of advice that you have?
Wow.
What would you tell that person?
Yeah, I would tell them that they to what they're looking at, if they're looking at your stuff or they're looking at stuff that we do, is somewhat, for us, it's pretty glamorous. It's not the kind of stuff that you're going to get into right away if you're starting out in 2021. We've, like Gary alluded to earlier, there is a foundation that you have to build as a technician or even as a custom fabricator. There's a lot of kind of foundational skills that you have to learn. So getting a job at a more production-based shop, a more retail-y based shop where you can get some jobs under your belt, some experience under your belt. If you're going to go break shit, go break it somewhere else, not my place. But really learning the fundamentals and the foundational stuff. It's like, if you want to do this, and it is a lot of fun. Like, I'm really happy with what I get to do for a living. And it is a lot of fun, but it's just like anything else. You kind of got to pay your dues, and paying your dues in this instance is learning to work on cars in a place that's maybe not as glamorous. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as fun day in, day out, but it can still be fun. And then there are, a little plug for Brian. There's tons of opportunities there if you're interested in fabrication to learn the foundational skills for fabrication with like Mobile Solutions and the Master Tech Expo, and if he ever gets back to doing in-store classes and stuff like that, take advantage of that, because I didn't have that when I started out, and just kind of had to learn it all either through trial and error or hope that there was somebody that knew what they were doing that could show me. But those classes really just give you a huge leap forward, I think, in terms of skills that you can't acquire elsewhere, or that would take you a lot longer to acquire elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Second question, to the client who had experience in our industry years ago, but has been disconnected for a long time, right? And they're looking to kind of like reignite that. What's the first couple things that you tell them about like where we're at as an industry and what we're doing on the audio side in 2021 versus 95?
Wow, yeah. I think if they haven't already seen the kind of work that we're doing, not just like, not that it's well, the style of work, I should say, the style of work that we're doing, because that client that you're describing is somebody that I would imagine has matured, is more tech savvy, is more design savvy, as I think we all are nowadays. So I would basically start by showing them, the chances are that they're going to come in with a nice-ish car, showing them what we can do to get the results that they want without having to sacrifice any of the aesthetics of the vehicle, and make it look like it, it's properly done, and that we can get, audio in the car that's really compelling. That's not the system that he had when he was 18. He's not going to have, a giant wooden box with 212s in the trunk. And because that's probably not going to be his goals anymore. And if it is, then we can show him some of the subenclosures that we build that look like they actually belong there. But I don't know. I mean, I think that client that you're describing, when they find us, like I said, they don't normally just kind of strolling off the street. They've done some research beforehand.
Right.
And they found us and are somewhat familiar with our approach, and starting the conversation with them, figuring out what their goals are and what they want. And it's a pretty exciting process. I think we can totally get we get pretty jazzed up about it when we get a client that wants to do something like that, and then being able to show them the drawings of what it's going to look like and everything. It's a really fun process.
Yeah, the reason I even asked that question is because I think there's a lot of people that initiate contact with us based on seeing like one video, not two, not three, not four, not five, but like they're calling about one video in particular. So they say that like they used to do this back in the day and they have this passion, but they just saw this one video and they didn't end up doing like the deep dive of going down all the different things that we've done. So you get both sides of that client, where you have the guy that has done all the research in the world, looked at every review that he could ever see, like Amazon. Like if you got to buy a vacuum, you're going to go and overanalyze vacuums for fucking 4 hours and see what has the best reviews. Or you have the guy that sees like, all right, that has good enough reviews, I'm going to initiate contact. It's weird. We get both sides. And then my third question, even though I said I was going to give you two, is what are your top 2 or 3 demo tracks that you play immediately when you sit in a car to evaluate a system?
Fuck.
And I know that there's always different tracks for different things that you're looking for, but if you're getting into a car tomorrow and you're going to evaluate and be like, I want to see how good this is, what's the first, let's just say 2 songs that you're going to...
First 2 songs.
Yeah.
it's probably, it's usually like Dire Straits, You and Your Friend. I like that song. That's a really good track. And if it's two songs, hmm, probably something from Nirvana. I don't know. I got a few songs that I put in, but I don't have a process, man. I mean, I don't do the tuning. I don't even do the demo
Right.
deliveries. So,
You
All right.
certainly have a go-to. I know you do. I see it in your eye.
do I?
Yeah, you
Let me
definitely
see.
have.
Is it something he doesn't want to tell us?
Don't be
Uh,
ashamed.
Are you music shaming me?
I mean, if it's
Ooh.
Britney Spears toxic,
I knew you were
don't
going to
gotta
say
be
Britney
embarrassed.
Spears.
Whoa.
You don't gotta be embarrassed. I just want the listeners to get inside your head for a minute to understand what you would play immediately if you're going to evaluate something.
So the playlist that I start out with, that I just kind of go and skip through the first 1 minute of each song, um, is You and Your Friend, Dire Straits, and then I'll go Negative Creep, Nirvana, and then I'll go Within from Daft Punk, and then there's a bunch of other stuff on here, and some Nora Jones and maybe Britney Spears.
Definitely toxic.
Yeah. We ask everyone that question so we can add to our old-fashioned car audio playlist.
Oh yeah, I'm not the guy to ask that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you've made the list now, so.
No.
And since you gave us 3, Matt and I are skipping ours this week.
Oh, what?
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. I forgot that you guys were going to ask me that. I would have prepped for that.
Well, see, it's better when you don't prep, though.
Is it?
Exactly. It's more organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on listening to you, we know that you really dig the Dire Straits track that you talked about. And the rest is up in the air.
Yeah.
That's fun.
You picked some really good tracks when we were listening to those speakers at the Mobile Solutions class. And that Private Investigations track,
Yep.
Dire Straits,
Yep.
man, that's so good.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Hearing that bottle break.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of the problem is that a lot of the music that I listen to is like old 80s punk and it doesn't sound good on anything. Unless you know of any digitally remastered, Gary, any digitally remastered Minor Threat or Black Flag. Probably not.
No, not big on HD tracks playlist.
Yeah.
Of course, I have to confess I have not looked, but
Oh, it might be worth looking.
Do you have any other questions, Gary? I just rattled off a few. I don't wanna leave you hanging.
yeah, no, I'm trying to think. Of course, we didn't prepare for this because we never prepare, but
No, and that's the only way to do it. Organic talk is the only talk.
no. Again, I mean, I feel like we always need to tie this back to helping people get their cars to sound better, and I feel that Tom has a ton of experience building high-end systems and nice cars with really good gear. So I think that maybe the question for Tom is if you have anything you would want to get across to customers that you feel they may not want to ask about, or conversations that are tough to have when you're face to face or on the phone, or if there's like, what do you wish customers knew before they picked up the phone and called you, type of scenario, like from an education standpoint?
That's a tough question. There is, I mean, I always feel like there's a lot of value in what we do, even though it's going to end up costing you more. But I've seen the customers that we were talking about that have come in and had stuff done at other shops that they're completely miserable with the results. I'm not always, but we see enough of that come in through our doors, and the the truth is that at the end of the day, we would have been like maybe 10, 15% higher than what they paid. And is that, you know, in hindsight, of course, for them, that 10 or 15% extra would have been more than worth it for them to spend, to know that they could have something done properly and reliably and get the results that they wanted. So I, I guess that I would want people to know that you, not everything is Amazon, right? I mean, not,
Right.
you're not going to get the results if you're looking to get things done as cheap as possible and as quickly as possible. It's just, I mean, that's obvious. You know, if you want, you got to find somebody that you can have faith in, that you can trust, and it's probably going to cost you a little bit more to do so. But that few extra dollars is definitely worth your peace of mind, and not having to have it redone.
Right. Yeah. Going back in after the fact definitely costs more than 10%
Yeah.
usually.
Right. Yeah, but
The weird thing is it seems like that other things in life don't translate to car audio. Example, when you go out to eat and you see a restaurant and you can walk right in and sit right down, is that a good sign or a bad sign? It's a fucking terrible sign that says look somewhere to where there's a ton of people and a long wait, right? And for some reason, this doesn't translate to like our industry. We think that we have to get everyone in and put it in and figure it out. And at the end of the day, like, you can only do what you can do. And if you have a long wait, that should speak volumes to the type of work that you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely depends on what you're trying to get done too. So, I mean, there's definitely times where we recommend customers to go. We have a couple of shops that we recommend them to because they just need to have things done quickly. Like, you know, if you need to have something done this week, we're just not going to be the best resource for you. But here's, you know, shop X or shop Y, and they do, you know, they're competent and they do good work and they can get you in and out pretty quickly. And it's not a matter of like, then we don't have to say we don't want to do your car. And we just, I don't want to come off sound like an asshole.
Yeah. Do you feel you have to tread lightly sometimes? I mean, like you have to get the inquiries where somebody is thinking they're getting like somebody who has a $1,500 budget but expects a system that they've seen online that probably was $20,000 or $25,000 and somebody's expecting it for $1,500. How do you manage those expectations and politely turn them away? Like, or
well, you just tell them.
Yeah.
I mean, you just tell them. I mean, what you're looking for is not within your budget. I mean, you just got to be straight up with them, right? That's not that's not. We've had some pretty hilarious examples of somebody that wanted. I think somebody had like a $300 budget.
Oh gosh.
A couple weeks ago. People that they have no idea their expectations are. I mean, if they have no reference, I guess, but I don't know. There's no sense in kind of dicking around with people. Just tell them the truth. You know, it's either a time restraint or a budget restraint, but we may not be the best resource for you for this particular project. There are other resources out there for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the recurring topics that Matt and I talk about all the time is kind of the spectrum that is a quote unquote audiophile, and just, you know, there's a wide range of people and listening habits and the amount of experience they have listening to audio and then interpreting that sets a very different expectation, because every single customer comes in and wants it loud and clean and they want it to sound good, and they probably drop at least one or two buzzwords of tonality or timbre or soundstage or depth or width or whatever that, you know, is for them. And to kind of be able to decipher how much audio and how far into it somebody needs to be happy. Obviously the demo car and listening to something like that together can really help nail those things down. But, you know, some people don't need $30,000 in audio, and some people you can do a system that's $3 or $5 grand or 10 grand and it blows them away and exceeds expectations. And other customers, that's just not what they're looking for.
Yo, Gary, the guy that I was telling you about earlier that dropped down a deposit today for next year, next April, the retired police officer,
Yep.
at the end of our conversation, and I love this, he shows me this fucking magazine that he was in with a car. It was like an Impala that he had in '03 that he built from a shop in New York where he made this magazine spread. And it just spoke to the time period.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
He was so proud of what he had back in the day. And he was
Yep.
like, this type of system, the amount of money that I spent on this is exactly what we're talking about here. And I can't wait to see what I'm going to get. And I'm like, well, you better believe it's going to be way fucking better than that bullshit.
Oh.
But it's going to be awesome.
Oh. What car was that in?
It was like an old Impala.
No,
TVs
what's the new one?
everywhere.
What's the new car?
It's like a brand new Tahoe.
Oh, nice.
But it just spoke to me because it showed his passion for
Yeah.
like this industry, and it's always been with him. And like
Oh,
now
yeah.
he's reinvigorating it from that 2003 mark. Like it's the first time that he's diving back in. And I want to give him this experience to be like, this is why I love this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's
Back
fun.
in the heyday.
You trying to figure out what car it was, Gary? The 2003 Impala.
No.
Remember.
I mean, I assume that in 2003 it was like a 95, 96 Impala SS.
Yeah.
Is what I'm picturing. Caprice Classic. Possibly a Caprice Classic made to look like an Impala. A little rebadge. All right. Well, I feel like
So this was fun.
we're falling asleep here. I don't know about you guys, but I am.
It's only 104 here.
Oh
I mean,
gosh,
God.
I forget about that part.
I ran out of coffee like 2 hours ago.
And I'm starting to get old. Like I'm feeling the 104. A few years ago, I'd be like, oh, it's still fine, but I'm definitely feeling it now.
What time do you get to the shop in the morning, Matt?
8.
Oh yeah. I texted Matt this morning and he called me back and it was like 6 something here and my wife's asleep.
No, yeah.
Who the hell is calling at 6 something in the morning? Oh, get me back. I'm getting you back for calling this morning by keeping you up until all hours of the morning now.
So how long will this podcast be when you're done with it?
2 hours and 52 minutes.
Fuck off.
Exactly. Just eliminating what we just talked about.
Yeah, we're just cutting the last couple minutes out of it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want cut out while we're in the cutout section right here?
No, I was hoping you were going to come out in the pink Visions shirt, sleeveless
Yeah.
tee. And then
That
would
I
ask you
don't.
to
I
cut
think
that
I might have a gotcha shirt, and I got a couple old skate t-shirts. I should grab something out of the closet. But
And then the t-shirt sleeve as a headband.
ooh, that is nice. You know what I found
the
the other day?
callback.
The neon pink and green Carl's Jr. sunglasses that look like they wanted to be Ray-Ban, whatever the cheaper Ray-Bans were,
Right.
but they gave them away at Carl's Jr. I had saved a pair for some reason from like 84, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
Like
It's pretty stylish.
Yeah, that's 3 hours long. You guys are going to cut
Yeah.
that down, right?
A little
Nope.
bit.
Yeah.
Nope.
Cut-
Matt likes to leave them long and all in one.
Got to keep it
episode.
organic, my friend.
Yep.
It's got to be real.
All right, Matt. Why don't we pick a cut spot and why don't you rally this and bring it home?
I don't even know how to bring this home. We're bringing this home organically. What you just said is not getting cut out.
Oh gosh.
that's going to stay in there. And I'm going to thank Tom for coming on and giving us 2 hours and 57 minutes and 17 seconds of his time.
Are we going to go for another
Thus-
2.5 minutes? We can do it.
Thus far, yeah. No, it was fun. I've been looking forward to having you on for a long time to kind of get the insight of trying to see how somebody else does something similar to what I do. You know, from my perspective, I can't speak to Gary, but I kind of feel like you do a lot of the similar things from a sales and install side that I do on the West Coast, and it's very tough to navigate kind of that like really high end type of job in the sales process and not having a a sound room, and I don't know. We just do a lot of things that are very similar. So it's very cool seeing a lot of the insight, and I'm fucking envy your drawing skills and all the other shit that you have that I don't have, quite frankly. But it was fun to finally have you on to get your insight. Yeah, I loved every second of it. It was fun.
Yeah, very cool. I don't expect this to be the last time we have you on either. It's just we're still figuring this whole thing out.
Yeah, we're still new. So you'll be on
You
again
are
at some
not. You
point.
guys are grizzled veterans now. Season 2. It's time to step it up.
Right.
Step up your game.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
Well, we had you and Carlson on. We've
whoa.
had some big hitters this season.
Mr. Schmidt.
Yeah,
I don't know who
Mr.
else you've
Schmidt was
had.
on there.
Can't wait to hear him. I'm excited. And I listen to all of them.
Cool.
Especially
Did
now.
want to just meet
I'm a lot of
Gary
golf
and I.
podcasts, so I'm waiting for you guys to start putting some content out.
Yeah.
Some golf content. No.
Do some fantasy golf.
Oh, yeah.
I do use the golf analogy a lot, but not.
What's that?
Oh, it's my. I always, when I'm talking to customers and we're talking about systems and product and all of that kind of stuff,
chip
I always tell them that I'm no golfer, right? But you could go get me fit for the best, most expensive custom clubs in the world, right? What does a great set of custom clubs cost, Tom?
Few grand.
Okay. And then on the way to the golf course, we could stop and get Tiger Woods a set of kids clubs from Walmart, right? And we go play a round of golf and he would kick my ass, right? And that the takeaway from that is that the quality of the gear is not what is most important. The golfer is what's most important.
It's the skill.
And you'd rather be
analogy. I love
a
it.
you'd rather have a crappy set of gloves in the hands of a great golfer than great clubs in the hands of a crappy golfer. And the same is true when it comes to audio.
Well said.
That was a fucking great way to end the
I
pod.
love that. Good night.
Good night.
And make sure you fade Bryson DeChambeau this weekend.
Brooksy.
I have no idea what you two just said.
That's all right. Well, I'm honored to have been on the show, you guys, and it's really good to see your faces. Yeah, I hope to do it again. It was a lot of fun.
Regardless, we'll see you in March.
Regardless.
Yep.
We'll see you then.
Yep. All good. You two have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. See you, Tom.
Bye.
See ya.
And I